last time on Erev Haradu.
Woo!
So, last time, Aniden and Bolum, led us across, the Juniper Forest. We stopped at a stream to start catching some slugs. And, we were doing that, until we were caught by surprise by a rampaging Triceratops. And, which is a gigantic dinosaur. And it nearly killed Peyton. It just chomped, it ran up, after taking down the Triceratops, or the Triceratops is the thing. Okay, the Tyrannosaurus is the predator. And then that almost killed Peyton until we were able to, Notrix's animal charming spell really came in handy and was able to free him. And we were able to get him out, and we were able to make a campfire later on, we'll just make camp in the boat that used to be Hyun's. And oh god, I might have trouble with this part, but it was in Akira's merchant ship. And basically we found a bunch of talismans symbolizing Hanalan, Suzaku, and the Hiranu Khan to unlock a secret compartment. And Peyton cataloged a golden skull cap mantle and a scepter that were apparently stored by Hyun. And I'm sorry, I'm like a little off on this part. Without someone else mind explaining this a little bit? Still a little confused on it, but
Which little bit?
The whole bit where we found the letter, just kind of explaining how Osu and Akira was doing something on Port
Letters in the plural.
Letters.
Well, actually, there was only one letter that we could even read, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was from Akira's sister to Akira in Port Phasmatis. And the letters hinted at some interesting stuff about what he was doing there. And then, yeah, that was letters. And Akira's sister even sent him this thingy-mabob to protect against ghosts that I can't remember the name of. And I think that was one of the items we found as well. And we also found the scepter, which was this symbol of peace and cooperation and all that fancy stuff between two. What's the name? I can't remember the name, but two branches of the monk orders, so that whoever carries that scepter.
Mm-hmm. Two pagodas of the Hua monks.
And Peyton cast some magic and found out that there was some conjuration magic on the scepter, but that made sense because it had some sort of spell I can't remember. A druid could use it for, well, someone connected to the elements could use it as a spellcasting focus, and the ghosty protection thingy had necromantic magic on it.
Yeah, and Notrix ended up picking those up.
Hell yeah.
Ooh. So, Julia, what happened after y'all explored the ship?
After that happened, we all went to bed, and Notrix was able to share a slug with Aniden, and he was basically trying to find out if their biology kind of needs it, or if it's more just that Slurpee goodness was better than the natural water, so they just drink it anyways. And while they did that, they saw he saw some interesting creatures. One, he spotted a fiery humanoid figure in the distance. And like, I think they saw kappas, but I don't know if that was the same scene. But then, when they went to bed, they were able to. I think Anitan, woke Natrix up and told him that they were gonna go search for the Oilifant, and we basically went with them. Like, Natrix was like, "Hold on, we'll help you out." So then, we awoken and we headed out, and after a little bit of searching, we were able to find a Oilifant sleeping at a river. And once we approached it, we were able to get off a few tusks before, well, we were attacked by some Kappa. And after an intense, dope-ass fight scene where Alcana, like, slashed at one with, like, her flail, and then Natrix was able to save it, Needin, but then Natrix got pulled down, and then Don, like, did this cool, like, water thing where he pushed the water away, and then Alistair got a headshot with a natural 20. That was dope. Basically, we were able to... Oh, and also Peyton had this dope part where he, like, lifted a bunch of people out of the water. Okay, that's not... Yeah. But anyways, then we were able to finish that fight. We were able to get the ivory in order to make the combs, and we made our way to the village, and we were able to meet the shaman. And he spoke Druidic. And I remember he told Don, "Hey, I haven't seen one of you
I
from
think
Don
you
Hollow
might have
forever."
skipped over some bits there.
Did I? Hold on.
Yes.
Oh shit! And also there's a bit where before we got there, we saw, like, it was a rhino that was essentially being like, turned slowly into a knot. At least that's what I got out of it. Like, it seemed like it was being taken over by some sort of a parasite. And, like, we were able to study that for a while.
Yeah, and Alcana sort of revealed to Alistair some of her and her master's investigations into the knot, some of her own theories on what they might be. But yes, indeed, after that, you made your way to the village. And though you attracted some stares from the very striking residents of the village, you were eventually taken to the sort of treehouse in the center, and finally came face to face with the shaman Harkahome. Harkahome, whose form, as he descends down the gently sloping steps that wind around his central tree, his large, lanky, 8-foot tall form, you could feel like you can almost hear the joints creaking as he shuffles with each step. As he comes down and faces the 6 of you. And he says, this time in Wushanko, though Natrix and Don, you both understood as he spoke Druidic just a second ago.
I have been expecting you.
Beg your pardon?
I said I have been expecting you to arrive here.
Alcana just kind of looks at him a little blankly, obviously trying not to show any disrespect, but she's like, excuse me, what?
He kind of takes the look and he says,
You fired a pistol in the middle of our swamp. That sound carries. I knew someone, not a goom, was coming here.
Oh. Alcana then looks a little bit sheepish before then recomposing herself.
Looks at Alistair.
You are not of the Wushankos. I can tell you have come here from across the waters.
This is correct, yes.
Well, may I offer you hospitality?
It's certainly hard to find around here. We'd be fools to refuse it.
Please, follow me.
And he turns and starts very slowly pulling himself back up the steps towards his treehouse, expecting the rest of you to follow.
Which Arcana does. She still seems pretty perplexed by everything that's going on.
Real quick, how old does he look?
Make an insight check.
Let me see. Sorry, hold on. Wait, let me actually get on. Oh no. Why do I do this? Okay.
So unprepared. God.
3. Leave me alone.
Well, I'll begin to describe what you guys see as you, walk, follow him, and come into his house up here. You can see that the interior of this treehouse, it's not particularly big. Maybe a little, maybe around 10 feet across. The interior walls seem to have had some sort of skins, leather, put up kind of almost like wallpaper on the side, though it's difficult to tell exactly what creature it came from. There are what look like they might be charms and little hunks of what look like obsidian just hanging on strings from the top. And there is a burner in the corner with just light wisps of smoke, as if it's smoldering, no longer fully burning whatever was in there, but you catch whiffs of what now you have all come to recognize as the scent of bogroot. However, here it's not quite heavy enough to send the rest of you tripping. There are 3 masks on one side of this hut hanging on the wall. One of them looks almost like it's the form of a large leaf. One of them looks like some kind of a beaked creature, and one of them seems to come to this odd snout and have banded eyes. And the last thing that you notice as he gestures all of you to sit down, and he seems to get over a small set of what look like tin cups and start warming them over a small brazier, is a piece of stone with some kind of carvings on it that's just been leaned against one wall. As for your insight, Dawn, he looks old. He looks, you get the sense from just maybe more so from his movements than from the actual shape of his face, as he has a sort of a downy covering of fur, that he's older than any human you've seen. However, you've never seen a being quite like this, and so it's difficult to gauge exactly how many years that would translate to.
Mm-hmm.
So he, as he's taking these cups, he says,
Are you accustomed to the taste of bogroot?
No, in fact, let's just say I haven't had the best experiences with it as of late.
And you see him kind of put aside what it looked like he was going to put on the brazier and get out what looked like dried mint leaves and start brewing something with this. He turns towards you.
So tell me, why are you here on the Isle of Juniper?
Because I have something that I need to hunt down here.
And what are you hunting?
Well, not exactly sure if I can exactly translate the name very well. I don't exactly know a lot of words for it, but well, they're a specific kind of creature that my teacher and I call the knot.
The knot. And all of you share this mission.
Yes, indeed. We hope to purge these creatures before they perhaps overrun this island and perhaps spread even further.
And he kind of puts up a hand, interrupting you. He seems to notice something. He looks towards you, Alistair, and he says,
Please, put the cage outside.
Alistair he kind of tilts his head in confusion and just hopes for an explanation, I guess.
He just says once more,
Please.
Guys, what do I do? I need to keep the cage with me all the time.
You
If
can
would
simply
prefer-
leave the room for now. We can catch you up later.
Yeah, Alistair just kind of goes and stands outside, directly outside.
Doors open.
all right.
Yeah.
But it seems to be enough to satisfy him. He turns back to Natrix.
Continue.
Yes, well, I'm perhaps not the best one to describe these creatures, but from what I know, they are parasitic entities from, well, seemingly from beyond this world. They take over other creatures and, well, it seems to be part of their breeding process. They take over other creatures and incorporate them into themselves and emerge as more powerful creatures afterwards.
And Okada just kind of gives a stern nod to Natrix's explanation.
We believe that the people here, you do have some experience with them. There was an animal just outside the village who, well, it seemed like it was afflicted by something very, very similar to what we are aiming to get rid of.
In fact, I believe it is afflicted by one. I ran a test on it and it came back positive.
The people here are familiar with creatures that become corrupted. It used to be exceedingly rare. It has become somewhat more common. And a piece of me fears that groups like your own may be the reason for that.
We have heard that, well, smugglers from outside have been going into the caves where these creatures are, inhabiting. We don't know what they've been doing, but it's possible that what they did there has been riling up these creatures, although it seems like the activity of these creatures is increasing across maybe the entire world.
Yes, in fact, it was a hive of them breaking out on my home island that started this whole mission of mine.
Now, this especially gets his attention, and you see his tired eyes open up a little more.
What is your name?
Alcana Theresis, Paladin of the Shield Swan Order. Though I suppose that doesn't necessarily carry weight here, given it's a small, even in the West.
I am Harkahome, last of the disciples of Yunlo. Tell me, what exactly has led you to this place?
Well, after that attack, and after the devastation it brought across my island, I was, already in training in my order, though I hadn't really picked up a particular specialty. Well, let's just say that an event like that left me with a firm decision in my mind, and it was somebody else within my order, Master Shai, who had, as far as I know, is the only one of the few in the world who even has a significant wealth of knowledge on the creatures, took me under his wing, so to speak, and taught me a lot more about them, and it was his wisdom that led us to discern that they might have originated from this very island. And well, at the very least, we at least found them here. There's still a whole lot we don't know, since, well, there's not exactly a lot of people out there investigating it, as far as I understand, but...
And your order, it exists to exterminate these creatures?
Well, this is in fact just one of the things it does. It's, well, really meant to combat all sorts of kinds of evils across the world. Though we are few, but we are skilled.
Alcana, tell me, do you wear your armor such that your Saradomin symbol is visible?
I mean, pretty much always, yeah.
He says, that symbol that you wear around your neck, please, may I examine it?
Yes. And she kind of carefully takes it off and hands it to him.
Yeah. As it drops into his very long fingers, you can see the tremor in his hand as he brings it closer, kind of holds it closer to the brazier in the light. And then he slowly hands it back to you.
You are a disciple of the God of Order.
This is correct.
I understand there is value in order, but there is greater value in balance. What you have been sent here to exterminate, my people have long tried to keep dormant, keep in balance, that it might not introduce chaos back into this world. That was Yunlo's mission, and his disciples, well, they made the ultimate sacrifice to attempt to accede to the goals of his mission. Do you know of Yunlo?
Well, as far as I've been told, he's a tree now.
To those without the eyes to see, it might seem like that. In fact, Yunlo, it is this tree right here that grows through the center of my hut. It is the waters of the swamp. It is the peaks of the shield of Suzaku. For Yunlo has become one with the land. He was once much like myself. We call ourselves the Furbolgs, though many in the Wushankos have called us horse faces in the past.
Kind of gets this wistful, thoughtful look in his eyes.
I can't say I've ever heard of any Furbolgs before.
There are few of my people left, though they exist, hiding in the forest, keeping themselves hidden, keeping watch. There are some who even call us the Watchers in Light, the Bolgers, but I digress. Our mission here, and it seems a mission that has spilled over into your own faith, was to keep this in control. I fear that others have been rousing things that should have been left sleeping. And I am old now.
He meets your eye.
What makes you think that you can extinguish this threat?
Not necessarily by myself, that's for certain. But I'm afraid that things might have already gotten out, even here in the Wushankos. Well, to some degree. You see, in our efforts to even get here in the first place, we came across an order of assassins known as the Death Lotus, much to our own chagrin, and well, let's just say that somehow they'd been keeping those creatures there, some variant of those creatures there for their own ends. But what ends I can only imagine. They are the sorts of people that are only concerned, it seems, for whoever can pay them the most coin.
Alcana, make a perception check.
Alright, hold on, I need to get into the roll 20.
Oh, shoot, sorry. Are you home, though?
I am home, I just got a little bit caught up in the role-playing, and
Oh, yeah,
there's
absolutely.
trouble, obviously.
Of course.
Same. Ha ha ha.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Ron, could you post how to spell hockey homie?
That would probably be
Hakahome?
useful, yeah?
Oh, it's one word. Makes sense.
Yep, I'll be in the roll 20 in just a hot minute.
Yeah. Well, he sort of turns to Don once more, and then he says once more in Druidic,
And why does one from the Dunholly join this quest on the material plane? Surely your place is in the spirit plane.
I respond in Druidic. Things in the Dawn Hall got a little complicated. Essentially, a lot of us got kicked out. But it's okay, because, I mean, I found all these guys. And, well, I think I'm more important down here than I am up there.
Alright, I'm in the roll 20. I'll roll as soon as it loads up. It has been a long little while, sorry.
and continuing to talk to Don, he says,
And you, fairy, you think that you have the talent to quell whatever this beast is.
Well, I'd say so. But thing is, if we don't try, then what else are we gonna do? Won't it spread if we don't try something?
That wasn't too good.
yeah. Alcana, you kind of get the sense that, when you said that, he did switch to Druidic for Don. But anyways, you get the sense that when you told him about the Death Lotus, he was sort of trying to keep his expression stoic, but there's a hint of recognition behind his eyes. And, he's kind of almost old enough that it's maybe a little bit harder to hide that kind of thing. But he turns his attention once more to you and he says,
Do you expect your faith to carry you?
My faith in the strength of my arm. And my friends, of course.
And, friends of Alcana, exactly what can each of you do?
His gaze seems to go first to Don since he's kind of had the most interaction with him.
Well, I can do a few things. I've been my whole thing has been mostly healing people, but my recent thing is learning how to stick to the shadows and sneak around. I'm a pretty good scout. Me and Alistair will be over there. And I point at Alistair, who's still standing in the door frame.
And his gaze turns to Notrix.
And you?
Well, I suppose I also serve the cause of balance, and as such, I have certain abilities, magics, I guess, that grants me that grant me certain control over nature. It served me well on the island so far. My ability to calm animals, I suppose. And I'm hoping
He kind of holds up his hand, and then he lets the hand go flat in front of you, and you watch as what looks like a small flower blooms from the center of it, seemingly out of nothing. And he gestures as if he's waiting for you to take this flower and do something with it.
Okay. I'll reach out and take the flower from his hand then. And is the flower, or can you describe the flower a little bit?
Yeah, the flower, it's sort of like on a little bed of green that seemed to spread from beneath it. The flower itself looks almost like a pink spotted orchid. Looks a bit tropical.
Well, okay. Well, I kind of want to use Druidcraft. It says make a flower blossom. I don't know if it's already blossoming or not. But if it's not already blossoming, I'm going to make it blossom.
Yeah. You try to concentrate on it, and you see from underneath the leaves a couple more flowers begin to bloom off of it. And he gives a small nod.
He says to you, "This I approve of. There are few here, even fewer humans, who have a talent for these arts."
Then he turns. Well, actually, he sort of looks, gaze pierces into you, and he says,
"And your name?"
I am Notrix, and it might please you to know that there are more who practice these arts in the West.
That does indeed please me. In the waning of my people, I had thought that these arts might one day be lost. And you,
he turns towards you, Peyton.
what do you bring to these people?
Well, I am a Western wizard from the Reborn Tower far in the west. Through my rigorous academic training, I shall be able to study the beasts and make deductions about their nature, and I can cast very refined magic that will allow me to both study the creature or, if necessary, fight it.
A authentic Western wizard. That I have not seen before.
Then finally he turns towards Worsend.
And you?
Well, I possess quite a lot of musical talent. And well, that translates into musical healing. I essentially play music and strange things occur.
He looked like he wasn't sold on it until he heard that little blast of ukulele. And he gives a slow nod. His gaze fixes back towards Alcana.
And what will you do if you fail?
Alistair kind of speaks up from outside. Die, probably.
I can't say I really know.
Well, despite the tone of your friend's voice, he is onto something. Life and death are both vital parts, for we are not truly living unless we know we can die. This is why that thing in the caves is forfeit of life. But we must understand and accept death when it comes to us. If death comes to you, what will you do? What will be the words on your lips?
Kind of like holds up a finger as if she's trying to like get a hold of a thought, and then she just kind of drops it because she realizes she kind of turned up nothing.
Peyton becomes sort of somber and tries to avoid looking at the shaman.
And seeing that neither of them are really responding, says,
And you, Nortrix, brother in the craft?
I do not know. That's a very difficult question. I have to say. One I hope that doesn't have to have an answer.
Why think about it if that's not our end goal, you know?
You must accept whatever comes to you. You must fight to succeed. You must strive to overcome. But you must prepare for all, even if that all is your own passing.
and he sort of looks out the doorway at Alistair just kind of leaning there. He says,
You, friend Alistair, what would you do if death finds you in these caverns?
Well, truth be told, what I would do, not 100% sure. Though I am pretty sure of what I'd say. The last words that would leave my lips, as you put it. Those last words would probably be, I'm sorry.
You would accept responsibility for your own shortcomings.
I've always been willing to accept that my lack of certain talents means that I have a higher chance of dying than most of the people around me. I'm not afraid of dying. What dying means is what scares me.
you see this wry smile spread across his lips. And he looks at the party.
Though you are uncertain, I have seen others venture towards this dark place others entering with the dreams of bravado or glory. I can see now that is not what motivates any of you. His gaze fixes once more on Alcana. I have something, a gift for you. He gets up painfully to his feet and shuffles over to the side of the hut where you can see the sort of the stone fragment. And as he shuffles towards it, you realize, Alcana, that the carvings on this fragment, the style of them looks a little bit familiar, though where he's standing, it's difficult to see exactly what they're depicting. But he sort of holds his hands out in front of him, about a foot apart. And he looks almost as if he's weaving something or doing like a cat's cradle with his shaky fingers, until, almost as if he's pulled it out of the shadow, there's a small chest between his hands. But this chest, what's peculiar about it, you can tell that it's a chest that was very finely crafted at one time, very immaculately joined and finished. But it looks like after it was finished, it somehow kept growing. You can see that there's a little branch off of one of the slats of wood with a leaf on it, that some of the clasps have been slightly grown over. And he opens it, and you see two orbs within. One of them looks heavily cracked, like it's missing a couple pieces. One of them is immaculate, and you faintly hear some mumbled speech, which sounds like it's an Icenic coming from one of them. However, he leaves the cracked one in the chest, closes it, and holds out the other one in front of him. And he says in Icenic, "Report." And Alcana, you... Hold on, sorry.
I what? I'm in holiday stance, man.
Anticipation.
You, if you look in your handouts under the Isle of Juniper section, you should see a brass-bound orb. Yes, as he says report in Icenic, you begin hearing this voice in this very clipped, very professional sounding, very authoritative Icenic. Though the language is a little bit slightly archaic, you can still follow all of it. And as it gets to the end of the message, it begins to repeat again until he says end in Icenic. And while Zore is reading that, as you guys hear this odd message, you can see this face sort of apparating within the orb that Alcana is focused on. And he turns to all of you.
He says, "These people in this village look to me as a guide. And though I wish I could guide them to follow in my place, their lives are so short. By the time I could train one to follow me, they would already be advanced so much that they would have scant few years to follow out their duties. That they came here long ago. And I believe they came here with a mission not unlike your own."
Are you saying the people here, they are the descendants of some sort of band who also sought to remove this threat from the world?
This is what I believe.
How long ago was that, do you think? How many times has this threat risen in the history of the world?
That I cannot say with certainty. I must admit that I was never fully indoctrinated into the ways of my people. I was very young when Yunlo and his disciples passed out of the material world, when they passed out of flesh. But it was before humans came to the Wushankos. This I know.
Look. Imply that they're... Okana's face is just whole mix different things at the thing over.
And sorry, you're cutting out quite
sorry?
a bit.
Yeah, can you repeat that and like go a little closer to your mic? I'm sorry.
Hold on.
You good?
Say before imply that they're not.
Wait. You're cutting out more.
Damn it!
Did your microphone Did your microphone maybe get covered up by something?
No.
Is your
It's a
sensitivity too
headset.
high?
I have no idea. Discord's audio settings have been really weird today. Switch to a different.
Just got a voice and see if your sensitivity is too high or low. You should be good.
Says it's apparently fine.
We'll try talking again. Maybe it was
yeah,
just
I
a
can hear you
connection
now.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it looked like it was a connection.
that's what I'm guessing. Yeah.
Well, if you say that they came here before humans arrived, it seems to imply that they're... What? And otherwise, she... It sounds like she's more saying this as part of, like, chain of her own logic. She is trying to furiously put together.
Did anyone catch that?
I just decided to move from my Wi-Fi to my phone data since apparently my internet is deciding to act up today.
You're sounding good now. We're so sorry.
Hey, you sound great now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the issue was not my headset, it was my Wi-Fi.
I
Oh
see.
no.
Yeah.
I really need to have a call about upgrading my internet service.
Oh.
But aside from that, let's get back to the good stuff.
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right.
If you say they arrived before humans came, that seems to imply they're not. And it sounds like she's not really saying this to anyone in particular, but more like she's kinda just talking to herself as she's mulling around a whole bunch of new information in her head.
Do the words within that orb mean anything to you, Alcana?
I can certainly understand what they mean on the surface, but what it means on a deeper level I'm still trying to grasp.
There is one more, but this one, its meaning eludes me.
And he takes out the other orb from the chest. This one bound in bronze. But what you can hear, though the voice sounds oddly distorted and Icenic, it is saying is pending further transmissions with an activation command in a tongue the enlisted men will not. pending further transmissions with an activation command in a tongue the enlisted men will not. And it seems to be just repeating that over and over.
It seems to be waiting for some kind of a command word of some kind to be able to open some kind of a connection, I think. It's repeating this on loop. Seems to be seems to definitely be broken. Although, let's just say it kind of trails off a little bit sheepish because you can pretty clearly see the orb's a little bit broken, physically.
Yes, I have tried both commanding it to report and to end, however, it responds to neither.
Have you tried just throwing words at it?
You think Arcana might be able to think of some words that might seem to work?
You're saying it needs
Yeah.
words? What kind of words does it need?
I don't know. I think it said something about a different language, but I have no idea what that might be.
He says, whatever it is, I will place this in your trust if you will take it. Perhaps it will be of some advantage to you.
I'm personally wanting to get to the bottom of this now myself. Thank you.
Is it saying this message in Icenic or in
It is
Shanka?
saying it in Icenic.
Okay.
Yeah.
He kind of rises once more shakily to his feet and turns his back, seeming to kind of survey the mask that he has up on his wall, presumably for some sort of ceremonial purpose. And he says,
I am not certain that I can bless this mission that you send yourselves on, but I, at least, will not hinder you. And I wish you all the good fortune that you may have on this. You seek to do something that many others have failed at.
Can I ask you something?
What do you have to ask?
It sounded like you were saying that you had a way to at least keep it at bay. Have you all been doing something to stop them from coming out of the caves, or have you just been leaving them alone?
These creatures, we called them the Nautiloids, and they are of a different nature. They are of something other. And indeed, the balance of the elements of the cosmos, the balance of nature, of magic, of life and death, it is out of these that they are born. By being stewards of this land, we have been stewards of their own slumber. The others who have gone before me have dedicated themselves to this at the loss of themselves. But things are changing. I fear there may be other forces that do not seek to keep them in balance, that do not seek to keep them asleep, seek to rouse them. Though of this, I have no more than my intuition.
This.
Would you say that the... Sorry, you go.
You can go first.
I mean, I was just gonna ask, and those people are the smugglers or someone else?
He just sort of shakes his head.
I cannot be certain, though I do believe that some among the smugglers have gone in there with less than genial intentions.
Yeah, there was one group that went in there, but for some reason they stopped. But they don't want to tell anybody why they stopped.
So
He just gives a slow nod.
this Gielinor, this island soul, is there any way to communicate with whatever is left of its consciousness?
The great tree that now bears the name of Yunlo is at the center of the island. People of this village make a pilgrimage there every 10 years. They write their prayers on slats they call Emma. They place them on there to request Yunlo's blessing, his fortunes. I myself have not made that journey in many decades, but I believe if you are sufficiently attuned, you may be able to ask him something, though I warn you, it has been long since he has walked in the body of a furbolg, and his mind has gone to different places. His answers may not be in the words that you can easily decipher.
Ah. But it seems to make some sense to me that knowing what has caused this, or to find out what has caused this disruption in these creatures' slumber, we could perhaps ask what the ones who are causing their slumber in the first place. But if it is as you say, then maybe that isn't the best course of action.
Kind of gives a heavy sigh and turns to the rest of you. Says,
I apologize, Alcana and friends. I grow tired. Unless there is anything else I can help you with, I believe that I would wish to retire now, though I will see to it that you are given every reasonable hospitality by the rest of the people in the village.
I don't see any reason for us to keep you from your rest any longer, and I appreciate that you've been even as accommodating as this. To be honest, I expected that once we got here, we would basically be completely on our own.
Well, that is the advantage of not coming here as smugglers or treasure hunters.
Trust me, if I came here with those intentions, I don't think that my conscience would let me live it down, ever.
This I can appreciate. Well, thank you, all of you, if you will excuse me.
and he sort of gestures towards the opening to this hut.
Roderick just gives a short bow and starts to leave.
Right? Does everyone follow outside of Harkahome's hut.
Is he coming with us?
No, he's. It seems
Yeah,
like
he's
he's going to
retiring.
rest for right now.
Ah, well, I mean, Alistair's already outside, but just as they're about to leave, he'd probably turn around and turn back to him, and say, "Oh, Home, was it?
Yes.
What's wrong with the cage?"
He looks down at the cage, looks up at you.
I am not certain. All I know is that it is something other. It could be benevolent. It could be malevolent. It is not my place to know.
Fair enough.
Hmm.
Don't let the dinosaurs bite. And I fly out.
Akana would probably just kind of walk out slowly, looking like she's basically got a whole tempest churning through her head.
Have sweet dreams. And Worsen walks out. While strumming his lute a little bit. That's totally not a ukulele. Shut up.
So, as you guys start descending back down this winding path that headed up to this treehouse, you see that there is another couple of people who seem to be waiting for you. Down at the bottom, you see Aneaton, and a man who is looks sort of middle-aged, but a very handsome middle age, very white skin, similarly to Aneaton's. And he actually shares a little bit of similarity in the face with her. You think it's probably a relative, but he has this immaculately waxed beard and this sort of ruddy blonde color. It comes to this fine point and just looks like it's been just newly shaped and finely trimmed to this beautiful thing. He is a very strong figure, broad-shouldered, even compared to most of the other people in there. And as you come down, he holds out his hand and he hails you in Wushanko. He says, "Hello! You are Notrix?" And he points towards you, Notrix.
Hello, yes, I am Notrix.
Yes. And you must be Alcana then, yes?
That is me, correct? She just
Ah.
kind of snapped back to reality for a moment.
Hello. I am Wyval. I am the headman of this village. I have heard from my daughter that you helped her and Bolam.
I
We
suppose you could say that we just couldn't leave them hanging.
Yes, I heard that after they made their comb, that Bolam got into some trouble with his leg, and you helped guide them back.
And you see Aneaton standing behind him, kind of making a little bit of a symbol where to you guys, to kind of go with it.
Don
Yes.
nods.
And they nod.
Yes, I even heard that you dealt with a Tyrannosaurus, a great lizard.
yes. Well, it was hunting some other smaller animals, and well, it apparently it saw us as a tasty morsel. Yeah. It
Oh,
got,
well,
it
that
got one of our
is-
friends here quite badly, but we managed to escape it.
Oh, well, that is most impressive. Honestly, I do not think I would have been comfortable sending my daughter and her friends out to make their comb if I'd known it was likely they'd face such danger. Not long ago, we never saw those creatures on this side of the island. And yet, this is the second one this month. But I am
That's
glad that
certainly concerning.
all of you were here to keep them from getting into trouble.
There was certainly plenty of trouble to be found, that's for certain.
Yes, sir. Well, we are glad that we could help them. It would have been quite terrible if they were left out there all alone to face the Tyrannosaurus, indeed.
Well, I owe you a great debt. Please, you look tired. Can arrange for you to have a fully outfitted hut of your own for tonight. Does that sound good?
That sounds very
Certainly
pleasant,
more
thank
than
you.
I would even think to ask for of complete strangers.
Well, you have helped us, and for this, you are no stranger. And he starts leading you guys towards what you presume will be a hut of your own. And you see that you've noticed the other people before, and you do notice that there are some things unusual about them. Of course, you've already noticed everyone here is very good looking. You also see a couple more who seem to have that odd bluish tint to their skin that Bolam had. And you see one adolescent girl, maybe a couple years younger than Neaton, who her appearance is particularly odd. She seems to almost have these large white feathers running down the backs of her arms. But he leads you over to this hut of your own. It's actually, if anything, a bit nicer than Harkahome's hut. It's clean inside. It seems to have their own sort of well-knit linens surrounding it and acting to make it seem a little bit more like a tent than like a stick hut. But he feeds you. You go to the edge of the village where it seems that they have these large kind of boilers running that seem to be purifying the water that they take here. And unless any of you other guys want to do anything else in this village before you bed down, he...
I think there's definitely one thing Alcana wants to do. I think that she's just going to try and get a view of people actually in this village and then use a defined sense. And because here's something that's been quite bugging her.
Okay, so you try to cast Divine Sense, and that tells you if there are it's aberrations and or fiends or...
I'll bring up the card. That'll just make things easier.
All right, so as you look at these celestials, aberrations, or undead, look at these people kind of walking past you, try to cast a Divine Sense, and you don't exactly get a ping the way that you would expect to get a ping in the times that you have faced aberrations or undead. It's almost like you get just a very, very faint feeling of something tiny, something diluted, but very vaguely celestial in the people around you.
And after us kind of like thinking on that for a while, she would definitely retire to the hut and maybe have a much extended, more extended period than usual of evening before bed prayer time, because there's been a lot to process today.
Right. Is anyone else doing anything in this village?
I kind of just go to the others and I say, "Hey, by the way, while we're here, aren't we supposed to be looking for a guide for the singing cabins?" Or do you think we don't need that anymore?
Well, from what we've heard, it might... maybe no one from the village goes to these caverns after all. But I suppose we could ask.
Who do you think we'd ask? Anita? I doubt her dad would let her go out there.
Well, we would ask her father. Maybe, well, maybe one of the people who live here travels often in that direction, quite often.
Yeah, maybe they're interested. You could ask them.
Or perhaps even,
Yeah.
and this is just putting it out there. We could ask for someone to help us go to this tree that they take a pilgrimage to. I mean,
And what, ask the tree for directions?
yes. Well, ask the tree for. Well, apparently, it doesn't quite speak like mortals do anymore, but it might be possible to get some information about well, what's in the caves. This tree or this consciousness of that has become one with the island. It is what has been keeping these creatures asleep for, well, gods know how long. And if that might be, knowing more about that might be one of our better options.
Yeah, we could ask if something's the matter, you know? Does Don remember, like, where the did anyone ever say the location of this tree?
He said that it
think
was right at the center of the island.
And it is on our map.
Oh yeah, it is on your map.
It is on our map.
You want to see the map?
I want to see the map. Don looks at the map. This?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so far away, though.
I mean, it took us sort of 2 days to get from the coast, or to get from our boat to here, wasn't it? Or 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, just about. Remember that.
That's another 2 or 3 days backwards. Well, it's also, we're going to draw Tolo. Well, our end goal is draw Tolo, remember. So, we're going to be going back in that direction.
True. Yeah, I guess a little detour is worth it if we're gonna find out some
there
information.
is a
about
mountain
this.
range in the way. So actually, that would be the reason, I guess, why we would want someone to guide us. Because if we were to do that, because mountain range is pretty hard to get through, I imagine.
True. Hey, and I'm sure that someone might want to guide us through that, because I mean, maybe they wouldn't want to go in the caverns, but going around some mountain ranges might not be a problem. Hey.
I don't know. It's just my idea. I mean, if anyone else wants to have any ideas, I think talking to the tree or attempting to talk to the tree might be an interesting option.
You talk to animals, why not trees?
Yeah.
I'm in.
So it seems that Notrix and Dawn are in favor of trekking to Yunlo.
Apparently.
What does the rest of the party think?
Well, Alistair
can
kind of, Go ahead.
I can understand your reasoning, but I also think that would be incredibly foolish.
Why?
Well, do you want to get killed before we even have a chance to get involved on this mission? I mean, let's...
Oh,
Yellow didn't like that.
Yeah. Yellow was mad at that one.
Yeah,
Don't insult the tree.
Don't insult the tree.
What'd you say? Get out of here.
Get out of here! You don't want to visit me? You know what? Screw you. Can't
Yeah,
play
you
my
watch as
D&D
Alkana
campaigns.
just disapparates before you. She's suddenly gone.
Oh my god!
Oh,
And in
fuck.
its place, there's just a big vine that pops out of the ground and is now covered in blood.
Holy shit!
God.
Cool.
Somehow I disconnected from the call entirely. What is with my Discord tonight?
Yunlo didn't like that, Zori.
Yeah, man, you pissed him off, man.
Yeah.
Shouldn't talk about that. That tree is bad news.
Gotta be respectful.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
That we might die before we get there.
So what exactly is your contingency plan if we even run into the monks?
I mean, Peyton has that rope trick. It worked before, didn't it?
I would rather not take our chances.
But what
Also,
if you
We
know
have had both good and bad luck with that.
Could we perhaps pass ourselves off as, well, one of the people from here?
I doubt it.
hey, don't we still have some monk robes?
We do.
Charred monk robes, yes.
They're fire monks. Charred isn't really an issue.
Do you think they're on a, do you think it's a big enough community that not all of them would know each other?
Even if that's true, there's that apparent split between them with the traders and the ones who aren't traders. If we run into some and say, oh, we got our clothes burnt by some traders, and these guys turn out to be the traders, well,
When Don thinks back, can he remember any distinct visual differences between the quote unquote traders and the other normal monks?
The ones who were accused of being traitors, they were much scruffier. They looked like they'd probably been out in the brush for quite a while. Their robes were also a little bit simpler, though all of them had fairly simple adornments.
So it seems like the traders are more on the run. Interesting.
And disguising ourselves as the traitors isn't going to do us any favors unless we happen to run into traitors, which we know basically nothing about their particular politics, so I would rather not have us be caught in the crossfire. Though I do think I do think it's certainly very strange that somehow the ship that our old friend Hyun had ended up somehow crashing a considerable amount inland. I think would be reasonable to infer from there that he was here at some point, and probably is still here though, so Doman only knows where. And it's certainly not something we can count on.
You don't think this Hyun guy would vouch for us if, we ran into
No,
him?
it's not a matter of him not vouching for us, it's a matter of can we even find him in the first place.
True.
Speaking of that
It's a
boat,
big island.
that is something I think we should ask, either now or after we've slept. That how did that boat even get into inland like that?
Yes.
Where did we encounter this boat? Around here? Or was it around, this area with, the mushroom trees?
I think right, maybe here-ish.
I think Don points at it and he says, maybe they used the river to get the boat through and then, I don't know, that's kind of a stretch. Yeah, we should ask.
Well, the river does empty out into the ocean. You can see it in multiple points on the map.
Was the river, deep? And wide? Enough for, a boat?
It would be a little bit tight. You couldn't get a full galleon through there, though you could probably get a boat through there. Just from your experience going through the rushes, that's probably going to be the harder part because of how swampy and uneven it is, and how a lot of it is just sort of this shallow bog water. You'd definitely have to really know the area to sail through there without running aground, and also without like getting the mast tangled in all of the low trees.
Yeah, if Anton knows about the boat, maybe Anton's dad knows about it, you know? We should ask him. Or her. To elaborate a little bit.
Yes. And Akani, you seem to speak their language. Maybe you'll get a better answer out of
Yes,
them.
that's certainly been the most baffling thing of all. It feels even weird using it in normal conversation because, well, it was a language we happened to learn because, well, it's supposed to be the language of the Iceni, the sacred servants of Saradomin. We would use it in the reading of the scriptures. We would use it in hymns and in prayers to draw a kind of distinction between the mundane and the sacred. So, I suppose the biggest thing I've been wondering is, why do they speak it like it's a common tongue here? This is the last place I would have expected to find it being used at all.
Hmm.
And what about
Well, that's
that
lucky.
orb that you have?
It's also in Icenic, and it seems to be describing a lot of battle reports of some kind.
Battle reports.
Well, some kind of a military report in general. Well,
Fascinating.
sounded like they were trying to fight something. I think there was something about goblins. I'd need to listen to it again. There's been a lot to process today.
Does Elkanah like sort of try to translate everything from that orb to the
Yes,
rest of the party?
though based on context, I'd assume that she doesn't necessarily give a perfect translation. She can just get across the gist of it since, she's mostly been using it kind of like a lot of colleges use Latin today. As like something that's used for instructions, but you never really expected to go out and speak it, so yeah. She's definitely going to have some noticeable flaws there.
All right. Well, I'll show it to everyone.
Do you think that she would have been able to get across the, like, in a tongue that enlisted men part?
Yeah. Well,
What
there are two orbs. There's the one that's complete, and then there's the one that's sort of broken and cracked. And the cracked one is the one that talks about further transmissions.
And the complete one says anything important or no?
Yeah, I think I put it in everyone's journal now as the brass-bound orb.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we all. Oh, I'm silly.
Huh. Fascinating.
Indeed. I honestly think I need a little bit of time to process it all before I can say anything definitive.
Do you suppose this is from the third age?
I mean, it could be. I don't know. My concern was more things in a theological context and not necessarily a historical one.
Ah, yes, I see.
Different disciplines and all. It's not like I wasn't educated.
A Gnosis vault. Fascinating. I wonder if that exists. Do you mind if I study this orb of yours?
if it'll help us get any clues, just be careful with it.
Ah, yes, of course, of course. And Peyton is going to cast. Hang on, I always forget what the difference between identify and detect magic is.
I don't think we need detect magic. I think we know it's magical already.
Okay, I'll cast identify. That seems to be more specific.
All right. So you sort of spend 10 minutes with this orb, turning it over in your hands and trying to catalog its magical signature. What you figure out at the end of that is that it is some sort of an Icenic communication orb. And the sense you get is that a message is almost stored on this, and then someone with some magical ability, or perhaps a device with magical ability, or something magical is exerted on it, and it's used to send the message within the orb to a fixed location. Though trying to push through and figure out what the fixed location is, you sense that whatever this orb was connected to is no longer there.
Fascinating. It appears
What did you find out about it?
It appears to be some sort of. Well, I'm not sure how much I can say for certain, but it appears to be some sort of Icenic communication device. You see, it seems to have the capability to record and potentially, if accessed properly, send information to a fixed location. But this fixed location, I can't discern anything. It doesn't seem to. It doesn't have any information about it.
Well, that's certainly, if that's true, well, I actually did notice something myself in my own observations. You see, I have sort of been using a certain ability as part of my training that lets me detect the presence of certain kinds of beings or certain sorts of energies. And, well, I think this is the first time that I've gotten any signal of anything that's, at least anything I didn't already know, was something, well, faintly holy or celestial about the people here.
Fascinating. This is.
I almost feel like the answer is staring me in the face, and I'm just too in disbelief to even admit it to myself.
Yes, Oh, if only we had time to study further. This could lead to a breakthrough in our knowledge about earlier ages, about theoretical beings and places.
I will admit that this place has piqued my curiosity in a way that I've never really felt before. It's almost too much.
Yes, there are many things left yet to be discovered. This is exciting. I haven't quite felt this. I haven't felt this excited about something for many decades. This could be very interesting. Very interesting.
But what about the other one?
That one seems to be repeating on loop, and it seems to be awaiting some kind of word we can't discern.
Huh.
Maybe it's a Saradomin.
Huh.
Saradomin. Okay, not that.
Do you suppose the answer would be Icenic or some other language?
Open sesame.
The Well, the Furbolg said he already tried report and end in Icenic on it, which are the command words that work on the other orb. Said something maybe, I suppose the way it's worded is a little unclear, but it seems to be. But the way it's worded suggests that maybe it's it's looking for the words in a different tongue, though I can't 100% be sure. I learned this language initially just to be able to, do stuff in the monastery that was sacred and holy, not to actually use it in proper communication.
I see.
And apparently I'm not very good at it, according to them.
Well, I suppose if report worked before, and, well, I suppose I believe among us we master quite a lot of languages. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to try in a few others.
Yes, I suppose it would probably be wise to start with the words we already know, report and end. And well, since we've been speaking in common and with Shunko a fair amount, I'd say that we can safely rule those out.
Yes,
we
now
should speak
there
them
is
directly to the orb, just in case it doesn't pick them up from idle conversation.
there is one language that I believe would be quite different from Icenic, but it's worth a try.
What's that?
Peyton leans into the orb and says, "Report in Infernal."
As you say this, the orb seems to glow for just a second, and it adds a couple more words. Elkanah, you can hear it saying, halting formal assessments pending further transmissions with an activation command in a tongue the enlisted men will not comprehend nor... And then it starts looping again, but it's added a few more
Something
words
the
to it.
enlisted men will not comprehend. It added a few more words to it. So it is something about a different language.
Fascinating, but that was in Infernal. That would be the literal opposite of Icenic, but I suppose that may be the point, to prevent people from accessing it.
Well, that's certainly very strange.
How do you know Infernal?
Well, you must understand that as a scholar, I have often had need of reading texts in foreign or older languages.
I would say that it's not uncommon for some of it to even be spoken around the monastery of Saint Domus, as contradictory as that sounds. Well, you can't exactly know the ways of dark creatures and demons and the like without being able to understand how they communicate.
Yes,
it's the sort of thing that is definitely looked down upon by much of the mainstream church, but... Well, let's just say that we of the Shieldsworn and of St. Domus have different opinions on things and believe, well, that all knowledge has a good use, and certainly a use of preventing evil is a good use.
Yes, I see. You'd be surprised how many ancient texts about wizardry are in Infernal. I suppose it dates from long before when people weren't so divided.
I guess Notrix will try and report in the languages he knows as well, like Druidic and Dwarvish, I believe, are the ones that haven't been tried. Just in case that happens.
Roll an Arcana check, Notrix.
Oh, okay. Something different's happening this time, huh?
Very
Okay.
nice. All right, so as you try more languages, they don't really seem to reveal anything else, though you get the sense, almost watching the way that the light and the distorted images play across it, it seems like where the message sort of halts and begins, it almost seems like the light apparates at the edges of the broken cracks of the crystal itself, like like the orb being broken is somehow interfering with its ability to deliver more of its message.
Mending!
Very nice. No larger than 1 foot in any dimension. It's smaller than that. So you wave your hand over it and slowly watch as bits of molten glass seem to apparate between the cracks and fill in the rest of it until you have an orb that is not perfect. The surface is definitely modeled a bit between the newer parts and the older parts, though it looks it looks, complete now.
I do a flourish and present this orb to Arcana.
And it is also stopped playing on loop at this point.
Hey, you fixed it.
I did indeed.
Yeah. Now try
It
it.
seems that.
Yeah, so I hope I don't think I was able to do it exactly as it was before. You can see there's some differences between the new and old services. But hopefully that didn't distort the original message too much.
Well, I certainly thank you both for your ingenuity in approaching this.
Yes, I guess. Peyton, do
I
you
was
want to
certainly at a
speak the
loss for
command
what
word
to
again?
do. Yes, I suppose so.
All right, so as one of you, I'm assuming Peyton, speaks the command word again, Alcana, you look at the orb and it seems like the images playing across it distorted are a little bit clearer now. You can now see the face of the same woman whom you saw in the other orb, and you get a much more complete message, which I think if you close Bronze-bound orb and open it again, you should see what that message is.
Okay.
But the rest of you just hear sort of the stream of syllables that don't really mean anything to you. I want to ask, what's Alistair doing?
Actually, he's been kind of just reading over a piece of paper over and over. Probably pretty obvious that it's that letter that they found in the ship. Trying to make heads or tails of just what the hell is going on.
Well, this is certainly interesting. It seems that they deliberately chose Infernal as a way to hide as a command word to hide more sensitive information. There's also something about unicorns, but I'm afraid that the rest of the message has been lost. At least for now.
And does Alcana try to translate it for everyone?
Well, yeah, of course.
All right, so now everyone, you can see the bronze-bound orb.
Ooh.
I think we could definitively say that there is definitely something more secretive going on, but I'm afraid we don't have very much context as to what, and I doubt we're going to find more of these.
Fascinating. It notes that
Fascinating indeed.
it uses
Still reeling over the
Infernal
fact that it's even here at all.
It seems to me that the intent is not to prevent the enemy from gaining access to this information, but rather those among themselves who would be too sensitive for it. Fascinating.
Do you
I
think
just
this
wish we
borehole they
had more
mentioned?
context to reference this. Now we can only really guess at what this was supposed to really be for.
Do you think this borehole they mentioned is, well, the cave where these creatures are coming from?
You did say there were people who came here a long time ago that tried to find the caves, right?
Alright, so let us review what we know. Let us suppose that these are Icenic forces that arrived on this island. They appear to have been trying to make some sort of... They appear to have been trying to... They appear to have been on some sort of secretive mission. Secretive enough that they thought it necessary to hide information about it to their own. And it seems like has some similarities with the mission we're on now. And it also seems to me that the people we have encountered may in fact be descendants of Icene.
That would certainly match up with what I found through what I could discern, but I still can hardly believe it.
Yes,
I thought that
it's
this
rather...
place didn't really have the influences of the gods, so I guess I just assumed that.
Well,
Though I suppose that's really only relevant in the context of the current age, now that I really think about it.
May be that the gods' reach was greater than we know, but it has been wiped away from history. It's interesting that these Icene appear to have settled down here, judging by the people we found. So we have to conclude that they didn't all die during this mission, or...
Yes, but I wonder why they would end up settling down here. You'd think that once the mission, at least as far as I would guess, once the mission was done, they would, well, get out. Out and report back. Of course, assuming that there is even a way to report back.
Perhaps... The orb did mention that there was some who were more sensitive. Maybe some of the Icene deserted.
It certainly is possible, although it's not exactly a thought I find very savory.
Fascinating. Well, I suppose if this borehole is the same location we're headed, we might learn more later.
And you know, that young Lao guy became a tree like 400 years ago. He might know something about him.
Yes, although I find the prospect of talking to a tree rather unscientific.
You can talk to plants. It's not out of the picture.
Well, I understand magic that can manipulate nature, but a tree, grass, plants, they do not have a nervous system. They do not have a brain. How could you possibly communicate with it?
Here we go.
It's not that. It's not that odd. They are
just because they don't got a nervous system, don't mean they don't communicate. Come on.
Akane is trying to follow this conversation, but it's clear that it's like this is something that's just kind of out of her depth of study, so she's just kind of glancing back and forth between them and kind of nodding along.
Yes, talking trees. Uh-huh.
It is true that normal plants only possess a very limited consciousness, but I mean, this is an ancient, ancient horse-faced druid almost, or furbolg, should I say?
Yes, a shaman, bordering between magic and religion. I doubt there is much more than superstition in this.
It's kind of worth a shot, ain't it?
Wait. Did you just say that you think that magic and religion don't mix? And then he just kind of looks right at Alcana, then back to Peyton, then back to Alcana, then back to Peyton.
I can't exactly say I'm very learned on magic exactly. I do believe that there are two different schools of casting. One that's more one that's, well, at least I know mine is more of the divine sort, where we draw our power from the gods. As far as I know, somebody like you would draw it from a different source.
What about all that stuff that Joachim did? All those prayers to Sarah Doman. I felt him magically heal me from a poison that should have killed me just by taking a prayer.
Yes, of course. The clergy have access to a magic of their own. I haven't been able to study it much. The church has disallowed delving too deep into the mysteries of such subjects, but what I was referring to was how magic is an art. It is an act of making your own will come true, in a sense, although that's a gross oversimplification. But with religion, there are more esoteric things at play. There is an idea that you call on something else. There is mysticism and distinctions between the profane and the sacred. It is endowed with a certain quality, and, well, I simply believe that this shaman, although he practices some kind of magic, I think he filters it through his own beliefs. I think that he makes assumptions about the natural world based on what his elders have taught him, rather than anything based on...
I admit that a lot of this talk is definitely out of my depth, but I will definitely say that the Shieldsworn are definitely more open to pursuing certain avenues of knowledge that most of the mainstream church is not, as I have said before. Or though I can't exactly say I would know what they would say about this specifically, but, well, given that a master of beasts is perfectly happy in order to trade secrets with, well, not necessarily trade secrets, but certainly to compare notes with druids so that both of them might be more effective in their work. So I don't know, maybe if you can make it to the monastery of St. Domus, we could have something more for you there, though I can't promise anything.
You know, that whole thing that you said, Peyton, about magic being imagination coming to life. A dwarf once told me similar things about mining and smithing. He always seemed to think that you could do anything with metal. Alcana,
Yes?
that first orb, not the one that was broken, the other one. Could you repeat
Yes?
the first 4 sentences for me again?
And she would do so. You can read the handout.
Wait. That one last part about the goblins securing samples to refine into some kind of metal. He kind of looks down at the cage. Doesn't that sound a little familiar?
Yes, it does, now that you think about it. I suppose I was so lost in thought about all of the... well, this... well, I hadn't even thought of that. Good catch.
Hey, Peyton, that thing that you did on the orb to figure out all the magic and how it works, can you do that on this cage too?
Yes. And, well, I'll have to check the spell description for identify, but I'm going to try.
And do you cast it as a ritual or do you use up a spell slot?
I cast it as a ritual.
All right. You start spending time with this cage, handling it, trying to figure out what sort of magic is within it. And after 10 minutes, you get this flash in your mind of something that is unlike any magic that you've tried to assess before. It's not necromantic, it's not abjuration, it's not conjuration. I needed to make a constitution saving throw.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear.
And it feels for a second like you see something so completely alien to your experience that you freeze up. The rest of you see Peyton's already wizened form seem to add 10 more years onto it as his limbs go stiff and he falls over, seemingly paralyzed.
Whoa!
By Saradomin, what?
What the hell?
Okay, divine sense the frick out of this thing.
Yeah, while she does that, Alistair kind of tries to figure out what the hell's wrong with Peyton, medically, I assume. He would assume.
All right, roll a medicine check. And Alcana, as you try to divine sense the cage, you're not picking up anything. Alistair, you check his vitals. You don't see anything immediately wrong, anything obvious that tells you what happened.
Well,
Sorry.
I'm thinking that then Alcana would then try to use lesser restoration to try and have Peyton not be paralyzed.
All right, can we see the spell card for lesser restoration?
Yes. Just one moment.
Oh, yeah. So you kind of put your hand over him, wave it, and there's a brief flash of warmth underneath when you see his jaw sort of become unclenched and his limbs finally slack. Peyton, you are breathing heavily. You feel like you've just run a marathon. And whatever your mind was open to, it was so completely alien, so expansive beyond your own experience. It's difficult to put into words.
Are you all right?
How many fingers am I holding up? Oh no, 3.
3.
Okay. He's not blind.
No, I'm not blind, and I'm not dead yet.
I don't think blindness was really the issue here anyway.
Yes, I feel as though I've aged many years in only a few moments. I'm very tired.
Go ahead and
saw
get some
something.
rest then. You saw, huh? What did you see?
It was something. I can't describe it. It's like waking up from a dream and trying to remember it, but there's just
Oh.
Nothing, but I remember. I remember how it felt. I couldn't understand it when I saw it either.
Well then, I'm not sure how much that actually tells us, but, well, go get your rest now. I certainly wouldn't be wrong to keep you from it after something like that.
Actually, tells us a lot.
And she just kind of glances to Alistair.
But what it tells me, at least, is that this thing is beyond even Peyton's knowledge of magic, which is actually kind of scary. Furthermore, if this is true and what I think is being said on that orb is actually being said, then whatever the hell this thing is that I meant to use to collect those various crystals in those caverns, which I suspect is what they were doing here as well, these Ician. Whoever sent me here really doesn't expect me or want me to make it back alive.
Maybe we should toss that thing.
Hmm.
I don't think we should just leave it anywhere.
It certainly doesn't seem to bode well for us, and well... Yes, I have indeed been left with a lot of things to think about.
And there's definitely nothing in there, right? Like, even when I squint.
You don't see anything.
I'm gonna, like, cautiously try to, like, reach my hand in it. Just to see if I can, like, touch something.
Oh boy.
Stick your hand in,
Yeah.
and I want you to make a... No, you don't feel anything. It just goes through air.
Yeah. Well, it's cursed!
What is going on?
Wait a minute.
What?
The contract that we were meant to fulfill by having this cage with us was said to be from the, oh my god.
67th?
No.
The League of Excellence.
That's it.
the one. The League of Excellence, they're supposed to be like a big deal, right? In the Ushanko Isles. Bunch of powerful, big people. What you said
Yes,
that you
but
saw...
you also have to take into consideration that there is a gap of an unknown amount of time here.
Also,
We can't necessarily presume that their motives are exactly the same.
Also, you said, Don, that the leader of the 67 cadre was one that you saw at this leadership conference, and they're the people who last went into that cave.
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting. Can't help but wonder if she was the one who put it through. Because they don't want to go back there anymore. But then why the cage?
Do they even know what it is, if it's beyond the ken of even a well-trained wizard?
I doubt that. The only kind of person I could think of who would be so magically attuned would be a siren, maybe. Or a very, very powerful druid.
I'll be perfectly honest with all of you. I came here certainly with a whole lot of confidence, so sure of my mission, but... Well... Now after today, it just feels like there's a lot more doubt than there is confidence.
I guess we're getting more questions than answers.
Yeah, but it's been like that this whole journey that we've had together. Alcana, you have all the makings of a great leader. You'll do fine.
She just kind of looks at Alistair and gives like a small smile and nods. Thank you. Seems like you believe in me more than I believe in myself right now.
I've believed in you since the moment I've met you, for some reason.
And she just kind of tilts her head a little bit curiously at this.
When we first met you in Phasmatis, something just felt different about you from the rest. Well, aside from Joachim, which makes me think that it might have something to do with the Saradomanism in you. But you just seemed... Everybody else seemed like they were in it for themselves, myself included, but you never were.
Thank you.
Again, just sits there awkwardly, probably, for a second.
Oh.
But
Yes, Alcana is definitely looking very sheepish at the moment.
But about this whole exploration to the caverns. Let's say this is what I think it is, and these communications mean that they had to close down shop early, as it were, on whatever they were trying to gather in these caverns. Mind you, this is a bunch of trained Saradominist soldiers, right? And this was years and years ago, when there were probably less Nod around than there are now. And there was entire battalions of them.
Well, as I told you before, with the one even somewhat relevant text that Master Shai discovered seemed to think that it was, well, from his extrapolation, the power of the gods in general that was seen to hold them back for a long time, though he definitely had to sift through a lot of biased commentary to find that one out.
What I'm trying to say is that, their elder had mentioned that the thing that was in there wasn't alive because it cannot die. Well, that was basically what he was trying to say. Maybe going in there trying to kill things isn't the best idea. Maybe we should be trying to trap them.
He did talk about containing him.
Yes, and it's apparently something that was broken on that containment. Well, not necessarily broken, but weakening on that containment. I mean, the fact that we've encountered them in 2 places outside of here should be cause for concern. We don't even know exactly when they got in Ashdale and when exactly the Death Lotus thought it would be a good idea to milk them for poison or whatever nefarious purposes.
Knowing them, these people, no offense to them, the method that they were trying to use to keep them at bay or to trap them was probably magical. Clearly that didn't work. So we need a more physical approach. We need what we should probably, or what we might end up having to do, is collapsing the entrances to all those tunnels.
The previous containment, or the previous slumber, seems to have been broken by, well, the smugglers entering the cave and doing who knows what.
Maybe we could get Deadfoot to tell everyone that place is off limits.
Well, he didn't seem to believe anything we said last time, so I don't think that's as great of an option.
I did promise him a corpse of one of these things, Bring one of those to his office, plop it on his table, see what he says then.
You see, I suppose that... Of course, that was working under the assumption that they could die before, and I mean, it's like... Even now, I'm kind of wondering... Did we actually even kill those things, or did we functionally just put them to sleep for a while?
We can always bring him an arm or something if we really need to get proof. And yeah, I mean, if we can't kill him, then I guess the only option is to trap him. Hey. Maybe Yunlo will have a better opinion. We should go talk to him!
Not until we can have a better plan.
They're not going to give up on going to talk to this tree, and I cannot believe I'm saying this. I agree with them.
Well, I think you certainly have a lot more practical on-the-ground tactical experience with this kind of thing, Alistair, remaining out of sight and generally out of the sight and interest of others. Do you have any insight to offer as to how we could go about this?
As for how we could go about doing your mission, no. But I do think
I meant about the tree, about going to see the tree.
You know, I'm an SEC member too, but I guess you could ask Alistair, that's fine.
To be fair, I'd also have known him a bit longer than I have you.
Oh, what? No, I didn't say anything.
Alistair kind of thinks for a moment and he's like, well, I'd have to be more familiar with the landscape, honestly. It all depends on just where and how you can hide. Also, the monks seem to be, well, at the very least, Peyton's spell for using that rope was able to fool them, or at least they did not seem to notice that the spell was there. That could work if we run out of other options of being stealthy.
Well, I think
You should
we
probably-
have a few questions to ask the people here. I think that they're our best source of information on this entire island at this point.
Yes. Though, Notrix, something that you had said before does bring up a good, interesting thing to this. You had mentioned that you felt like this island was different somehow, like it was stronger in connection to your magic, your connection to the spirit plane, was it?
Yes, and well, I suspect now I suspect that it is definitely something to do with this young Lao. I mean, if this spirit, or however you can describe it, has grown to encompass this entire island, then, well, I think that would definitely be what I'm feeling, possibly.
If that's true, talking to the tree would probably be by far our best option, because if that tree can spread its influence across the entire island, that means it probably feels everything across the entire island, which means it should know almost exactly what the hell's going on down there in those caves in the Drought Hollows.
Yes, that is what I said at the very, very start of this entire conversation.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was reading.
Well, I suppose in the morning or whatever time of day we wake up to, I should go ask about what I'm feeling. I shouldn't leave it to my own suspicions. I should go ask. And I think there are 4 main questions we should ask the people here as well. I think we should ask, how can we get to the tree that represents Yan Lao? What do they know about the cave? Do any of them even go anywhere near it? Have any of them ever gone anywhere near it? Maybe what they know about the creatures. But I think we should also ask them about the boat. Like, how did it get here? Did they ever see anyone emerge from the boat or anything like that? And the final question I think we should ask is, how often do they see smugglers, or where have they seen smugglers going? I think we need to know what the smugglers have been doing here, and particularly the ones who are interested in the cave. What have they been seen carrying anything off? What have they been doing that may have stirred these creatures awake?
Hey, Rond, when we met up with these two, well, 3, but one of them ran away, we were going between the last safe house on the ocean by the beach to the one by the mountains, right? Or was it to the one in Drought Hollow we were going to?
It was right over here,
Okay,
like
so-
very close to this one safe house.
So
Well, if it would maybe help to shed light on what's happening here, I can tell you what I remember of what happened immediately before, well, the outbreak happened on Ashdale. It's the only other real data point we have to cross-reference and perhaps have a lead on what specifically to look for.
Well, I guess yes, knowing about that would prove useful if these are the same things.
Though perhaps maybe we should save that until we're talking to the people. See if they recognize any of these signs.
Should we ask them in the morning or right now?
Probably.
I think we're all tired as all get out right now, and I think that we should probably rest and come into things with a fresh mind.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and you hear Worsen from the corner say, "Yeah, I'll say I've already been asleep almost this whole time." So, as you guys all bed down, relax your weary bones, prepare your plans for the next day, we'll go ahead and take a 10-minute break.
This is really stupid, but can I do like a cliffhanger thingy?
Of course.
Okay. So, in the middle of the night, Peyton is tossing and tumbling in bed before finally opening his eyes and standing up. He goes outside, middle of the night, goes to the cage again, and carefully, using Mage Hand and a vial, he will attempt to chip off a piece of the cage and place a sample in his vial.
All right. Go ahead and roll a sleight of hand check for your Mage Hand. And as your Mage Hand attempts to chip off this chunk, we'll go to a 10-minute break. So, Peyton, you watch as that spectral hand that you've summoned takes the vial, just kind of clinks against the side of the cage. And at that moment, you notice Alistair's got one disapproving, groggy eye open and looking right at you.
Alistair doesn't really mind that he's trying to do it. He's just kind of worried that it'll hurt him again.
Okay, so Peyton just sort of takes the vial from the mage hand, so hurriedly that he doesn't even dispel it first. He just sort of wrenches it from his own mage hand, which looks a bit weird.
Yeah,
and
nothing's changed with the vial.
And then he... Do I have like a file or something to scrape it off with? Like,
No, you could just ask the guy with the knives to do it.
I'd say you might not have a file, but you'd probably have something that you could use from that medicine kit to kind of, or bone setting kit that would be used to wear off chunks of various things.
Okay, so he just places the vial to the bars of the cage, tries to, and with the other hand tries to scrape some particles of it into the vial.
Go ahead and make a strength check. Nothing happens. It's not making a dent. It's not leaving a scratch on this thing.
Alistair kind of... Let me try. You think it'd be better with that thing or with one of my blades?
I am not sure.
Say if you want to make a thieves' tools check, I'd let you, Alistair.
Dexterity?
Sure. You take it, you feel like you have gotten a fantastic angle at it to get a chip off. And as you take your tools away to watch the little chunk that you've scraped off, you see not even a mark.
Damn.
He just kind of blinks and rubs his eyes a little. But I felt it. It was the perfect angle. They should have taken out a huge chunk.
Huh. Well, that's rather impressive.
No, you don't understand. I felt it give. But nothing happened.
Huh. Hmm. Well, I suppose touching it is too dangerous. I could... Wait, I haven't used detect magic on this before, have I?
I don't think so.
No, he hadn't. I realized that I had forgotten to ask anybody to ever do that.
Well, I suppose if touching it is too dangerous, although I did touch it for an extended period of time, so I might try to... never mind. I suppose it might be useful to try to detect some of the more ambient energies. And of course, we're all doing this in the middle of the night while the others are sleeping.
Are you sure that's a good idea? The last time you did that didn't go so well.
Well, to detect magic, I don't need to actually touch the thing. It's only if I want to analyze its inherent properties that I require to touch it.
All right, go ahead.
So, as you spend 10 minutes casting Detect Magic, I want you to roll an Arcana check for me. This is certainly something magical. As you finish casting this, trying to detect what sort of magic is on this, there's an intense magical signature, but a magical signature unlike anything that you've ever encountered before, save earlier when you tried to identify what this cage was. And it's almost a little bit difficult to conceive all of the information in your mind because it is reaching from some magic that seems to go not even beyond the magic you know, seems to follow a completely separate trajectory altogether, as if it, evolved in another universe, but then it's simply gone. And you're not exactly sure what it is that you've detected on it.
Peyton just blinks, mouth open. What?
What's wrong?
There's magic in this thing, but it does not... It's not like any magic I've ever sensed before. Back at the Wizard's Tower, we have attempted to classify magic into different categories. Some magic are conjuration magic. Some magics are abjuration magic. Some magics are connected to different elements. But this is like something I have never seen before.
You sure it's not necromantic?
If it were, it would be a necromantic magic, different from the ordinary. It's as if it's from a completely different framework.
As if it was from an entirely different world.
World, maybe something further beyond.
He just kind of blinks worriedly. That sounds a little too familiar. He just kind of glances over at Alcana, who's probably still sleeping. When she was telling me about the knots, she mentioned that something about them felt almost beyond our understanding, dimensionally or something. You're saying this is like that?
I suppose it's possible. I have heard it theorize is a strong word. I have heard hypotheses that posit that there could be other universes beyond our own planar structure, but I mean, there's never been anything like this.
Do you think it would be
It's
worth
so
taking back to the tower? Or should we just get rid of it?
I would quite like to study it, but I believe we would have some difficulties in transporting it. Where did we get this again?
At the bar that we all met in after this whole thing happened in Runner's home. They have a bunch of contracts out, and one of them was from the League of Excellence, and it was worth a lot of money. And it just so happened to also include us going to those caverns that we're going to anyway, so I decided to take it, and part of the contract was that I have to keep this with me at all times.
I see. Strange. Well, I suppose if this league can afford to leave these cages for recipients of their assignments, then they must have others of its kind. Might be worth looking into at some point. We shall have to see how this develops later. Maybe we'll have the opportunity to take it back. Maybe it's better used to contain whatever it is they want it to contain.
Crystals. They want different crystals, kind of like what was mentioned by Alcana in that orb.
Crystals. Yes. Has Peyton heard of any magic relating to crystals?
Go ahead and roll an Arcana check.
Arcana.
Same thing again. You've heard of use of crystals in magic. A lot of it is the sort of thing you disdain. It's like witches out in the boonies taking hunks of quartz and using it for rituals that are more often than not snake oil. Though you know that there is some crystal-based magic that's practiced in Gielinor among the scholars there. And you've heard, or at least you've read a little bit about sort of esoteric uses of crystal in more historical forms of magic, though there's nothing that really the Wizard's Tower uses now, at least nothing except for maybe a couple of individual spells that use gemstones that's anything like that.
I'll just tell this to Alistair then.
So, do elves and crystals still kind of come hand in hand in this world?
Yeah, I'll say that there is. It's kind of more of like almost like part of a classical education that some of the more not rogue wizards, but people with more adventurous senses of magic in sort of the far reaches of Kandarin, far away from the influence of the tower, do delve into crystal song, which is a form of magic which supposedly originally came from the elves, but that at least like as Peyton would understand it, and we'll say as it might have jogged Alistair's memory of someone who's spent a lot of time doing a lot of different things in the kingdom, has kind of warped into its own thing, distinct from any elven practices, and certainly there aren't any elven teachers in Kandarin.
Yeah, so Alistair just kind of says all that. about how he remembers, oh, well, there's this crystal thing.
Crystals. Interesting. I suppose it fits with the fact that the history of this place goes back so long that maybe whatever I seen or other things that were practiced and a more alien kind of magic that we only have traces of today, but so little evidence.
And the last thing that message said that had me kind of weirded out mentioned goblins.
Yes, I saw that as well. I thought for a moment that maybe goblins were some sort of slave caste, but that seems uncharacteristic of what we know of Ceremonists, but I suppose things might have gotten lost in translation.
I've never known goblins to be Ceremonists. I thought they had their own religion.
Yes, so I've heard. But, well, I suppose there are ways of convincing them.
Probably more time and better to think about this in the morning when we're not half asleep.
Yes.
And you do indeed feel, Peyton, sort of sleep tugging on your eyelids as you both go back to your beds, taking out the rest of your sleep, of your long rest. I want to ask, when are you guys choosing to wake? Because you've been on kind of an unusual schedule, I want to know, are you guys trying to wake up in the middle of the night? Or are you trying to wake up in the morning?
So, when we arrived here, what did it seem like everyone else? What time schedule did it seem like everyone else was being on?
It seemed like most people were diurnal here in the village. Just from what you could pick up from the way that Anitan and Bolam, the schedule they were keeping on the way here, get the sense that maybe outside the village they keep a slightly different schedule, but here it seems like it's mostly, people get up in the morning and go to sleep at night.
Guess that means we should wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I guess one night doing away from the traveling schedule wouldn't be too bad. Or
Okay, so you guys all sort of come to consciousness the next morning. As you exit your treehouse, you can see the village already well awake. You can spot different people holding baskets, coarsely woven baskets of what seem to be small fruits that have been collected. What you see look like coconuts and cucumbers and these large, odd-looking reddish fruits. You see a few people coming in from the outskirts of the village and walking across the planks. They look like hunters, all of them with immaculate beards, even the women. They look like they've caught a couple of elks. You see a couple of children playing with a large turtle that's just sort of waiting in the shallows. Seems like there's a kind of just an almost idyllic character to this that's a pretty large contrast with the foreboding that you went to sleep with. As you head down and onto sort of the plank boardwalks that go through this village, you notice a couple of familiar faces at a bit of a distance. You see Anitan seeming to be talking heatedly to the person who was part of their group only at the beginning, the person called Segror, who is sort of the tall, tan boy, blonde hair, blue eyes, muscular, very, he's got kind of the Adonis look going on. He's even kind of got his hands on his hips, sort of defiant to whatever she's saying to him.
Arcana, do you understand what they're arguing about?
I'm thinking she'd try and listen in.
Yeah, you have to go closer to listen in. But as you do start to approach, you hear it, and now you've heard the language enough that while it's still a little bit tricky, you can pick up the gist of things. It seems that she's berating him for abandoning them, for tricking them, for being dishonest, for being a coward. And he seems to be shooting back that he's not a coward, that he's proved that he is far more capable than any of them. And you see him kind of flicking his own ivory comb that you notice, unlike the ones that Anitan and Bolam made, seems to be almost marbled with this reddish pattern to it. And he says that it's her fault for being so for always mollycoddling and trying to be a mama to that freak, who you get the sense is referring to Bolam.
Seems like they're on an argument with him running away yesterday. And he wants to get a little bit smart with her. Or at least that's what I seem to be picking up.
Balls on that guy.
After another couple seconds, you see that she has had enough of it when what seems to incite it is he seems to say something about all that Bolam was good for was for bait for the Oliphant, and you see that she shoves him and he falls off the side of this causeway and splashes into the water, which you see after a second isn't actually that deep, and she kind of stomps past, and then she sees you. She kind of stops for a second and gives a meek little head bow towards you, and then sort of starts trying to walk past.
Okada would probably give a very brief curtsy and then just kind of look back to the group, like,
Dawes laughing and gives a thumbs up. Like, nice push!
Anitan, is there any?
Well, he
is there
didn't
anything
say
we can do
very
to help?
nice thing.
Didn't she walk away?
I said she was trying to walk
Yeah,
past.
she did walk away.
I mean,
Okay.
you guys could stop her if you wanted to.
I was thinking it's probably best to leave it to their own arguments.
Yeah, he didn't seem to have a very high opinion of Bolam. He apparently said he was something about being bait.
Oof.
Wait. What else did he say?
He apparently thinks that he was far more capable of him, and that he shouldn't stop, and that, well, Anitan should stop babying Bolan or something like that.
Well, capable or
Anything
not,
else?
he was still in the same situation as all the other two were.
Yes, and he didn't end up running, of course. Apparently he seems to have gotten a comb of his own some other way.
Well, he did.
Oh, I remember. Yeah,
He did manage to get some ivory in that first encounter.
While almost killing Natrix.
Yes. Well, disrupting my efforts to attempt to calm the
Well, I
animal.
think he might have fulfilled the letter, but not the spirit of things, is the gist that I got.
I wonder why his comb is so differently coloured. Perhaps is it? Well, perhaps it's something to do with the gender of the animal.
Different color. Hey, wait a minute. Anitan and... Which one of them has the blue tinted skin?
I think it was Bolan.
Yeah, Bolam has slightly blue skin. He's also got the eye patch.
Yeah, the weird eye.
And the other two, neither of them are blue tinted skin.
No, no. Segro is kind of more tan and Aneaton is very white, though looking at the people around the village, it doesn't seem like there's much difference between the people just from what you pick up socially, how they treat each other based on the differences in skin tone.
Interesting.
Are there a lot of people that are blue?
I mean, the tint is very subtle, and so you even have to kind of concentrate on someone to even pick up, wait, is that blue or is that just the light? And there are a few. It's it's definitely a minority, but it's not like there are only 2 people who have that skin tone.
Could I do a nature check at all to see if I could think of any reason why ivory would turn that color? Like, is it because of something in the blood or because of the gender of the animal or such?
You can make a nature check, but I'm gonna tell you this is gonna be a fairly hard one.
Okay. I mean, if it's nothing to do with the animal it came from, then I imagine we wouldn't get it at all. Just wondering if it's something to do with the animal or something he did to it afterwards.
Yeah, go ahead and make the nature check. Yeah, you're not quite sure.
Oh well.
But you were bringing up the question of the different color of his comb, right? Well, if it came from the tusk of the same kind of animal, maybe something in Peyton's book will have something about it.
Well, it's rather a specific detail, but maybe.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but we can check.
Right. Go ahead, Peyton, and make either a history or a nature check.
Shall I choose +11 or +11?
I was about to say.
So, man, the benefits of having a +11 bonus. So you look through your book, you kind of flip through back and forth until you find something in there. It did have a small section that mentioned Plains Oliphants, and you managed to find like a little footnote in there that mentions that that the status, the sort of state of the Oliphant when parts of it are harvested. It mentions like some ancient, not ancient, but some long defunct ivory trade in the Wushonkos, and mentions that it was known that the emotional state of the Oliphant when the ivory would be harvested would eventually manifest in changes in color in the products that were made from that ivory.
Oh, well, from what I can read here, and do keep in mind this book isn't very reliable, but it says that apparently the emotional state of the animal when the ivory is harvested can affect the color. So the fact that it's red suggests that whatever Oliphant he extracted it from was in a different emotional state.
Like angry.
Yeah, so
Whoa. That's really cool.
pain, I suppose, because when the other was extracted, you managed to calm the Oliphant, didn't you?
Well, I think. Yes,
It was
the
asleep.
second time it was completely calm, while the first time, well, it was only barely calm. at the time he took the thing, I believe.
Yeah, so I suppose if someone were to harvest it more brutally, or affect the emotion, or affect the creature in some other way, then that would manifest itself.
What are the main colors of
Interesting.
what colors are? What's the most common color of comb for all the other people living here?
You see, it's mostly the women who have their combs visible. They all have sort of elaborate updos, but the combs that you can see, most of them seem to just be kind of that plain cream color, the same color as Anita and Bolem's one. A couple of them seem to have a little bit of yellow in them. That red color seems pretty rare.
So most people just do the smart thing and get the ivory while the animal is probably asleep.
Maybe the yellow meant that the elephant was happy.
I suppose we can't really say, but it is an interesting detail.
Yes, I must admit, I find it a little bit uncomfortable. Red seems like such an ominous color, although that's very irrational of me, I know.
It's the color of passion.
Thought that was pink.
Interchangeable.
Does it really matter much at this point?
Yeah, Alistair,
Actually,
it's irrelevant.
Can I
Oh
hit him?
god.
No!
Please?
The island is going to be doing plenty of that without us helping it.
Oh, good. I can't wait for that.
Speaking of, maybe we should ask someone about, finding out a path for our tree friend.
Hey, now that we're in the daylight, I think Alistair wants to take a look at that piece of the cage that he tried to chip off. Does it just look the same completely?
Yeah, you look at it, there's no mark on the cage. You can't even find where it was that you tried to hack it off.
Are you still obsessing with that thing?
Well, yeah, it's just... Let's just go.
You're very encaged
I
by it.
agree.
Alright, let's go.
So I think, should we look around to see if we can find Wyvil, Anisan's father?
Yeah,
Yes.
the village itself is not very large, and so you only walk another minute before you see, kind of towards the center, not far from Harkahome's hut, Wyvil, who seems to be talking to the hunters and sort of looking over their catch before, sending them back to. It seems that they're heading towards where those vats were, where they were seem to be boiling water and seem to be boiling some other plant detritus. At this point, he sees you coming, and he kind of holds out a hand and says in Woshanko, "Oh, hello. It's a blessed morning on you."
How have you been?
"Oh, I am..." And you see, even though he talked to you before, that look of confusion pass across his face. "I am well, thank you very well, since yesterday." And he kind of does this move where his hands start kind of in front of him, and kind of his arms wave out sort of to either side before joining again at the top. And it looks like he's almost a little bit surprised to see that none of you do the same thing. And he says, "Oh, excuse me, I am sorry. I
get so used to our own custom. I know that it is not something that the rest of you do, of course, of course. So what can I do for all of you?
We were hoping that you might be able to answer a few questions we have about things on the island.
Yes, I will answer what I can.
Okay. Well. Well, first off, we were wondering about the water on this island. When we were traveling, Anita, she was using slugs from the water to drink. Is there something wrong with drinking the normal water on the island?
Oh, well, you see, when young people, all young people born under the same moon, they make their comb together. And when they do this, it is very important. They go out, they take 3 things. They take a spear, they take a knife, and they take a vial of dart frog poison. That is only to be used in greatest emergency. But this is all they have. The food that they catch, the water that they drink, they have to catch for themselves while they are on this journey.
But why not drink from
So is
the
it
stream?
something like a coming of age then?
Yes, exactly. Exactly that. You carry your water skins, I can see. They could not carry their water skins. It is not of our tradition.
A special kind of trial then.
I see. Well, I have a few more questions. When we were
Yes.
traveling, one night we took shelter in a ship, a boat that had been beached in the island. Do you know how that got there? And did you ever see anyone from that boat?
I have seen this ship. I know a few months ago it was of much interest to the monks, but not too much recently. I did not see how it ended up there, but well, some of my hunters swear that it was dropped there by the wing that covers the sky.
Ah, that is interesting. Because it would certainly be hard for the boat to end up there by itself. Well, I guess my next question is about the smugglers. Like, how often do you see people, not monks and not of this island? How often do you see people walking around or traveling around?
I myself often needed in this village, but and you see him kind of call out towards one of the adjacent huts in this very, very fast scenic. It's hard to follow. Another voice calls back to him. And then after a second, you see a man come out of it. Tall, well-built man. His beard is dark and much closer cropped than most of them. Maybe a little bit less waxed, a little bit more practical looking. But he comes down. They speak rapidly. And he says, Wyvil turns to you again. He says, this one, Orent, he is our hunt master.
And he says, not for many months have they spotted smugglers going towards caves, you say?
Yes.
Yes, they come through here. They try to harvest bog root. They do not take our stores. We make sure of that, but find the wild bog root growing, but not towards caves in many months, except he says that a week ago, maybe a little more, uh, oh, no, a few weeks ago, I am sorry, a few weeks ago, he sees someone by themselves going towards ascending the shield of Suzaku.
I see, by themselves, you say. Oh,
By themselves.
do any of your hunters ever venture toward in that location? Towards that location?
No.
I see. Is there any particular reason for that, or is it just not good hunting grounds over there?
It is an unhallowed place. It is the place of the wisp and of other things. It is not for us to go there.
Yes, that does make sense. Thank you. One final thing we were wondering about is we heard that on occasion you take a pilgrimage to the great tree in the center of the island. Is that correct?
Yes, this is true. This is true.
How difficult is it to take such a trip? Is it something that is? Do you face any problems from the monks? Is the path clear?
It is not difficult. No, it is a long journey, and often we are taking children. We are taking many of the village, so it takes longer than it would, say, for a hunting party. I myself have seen this ceremony take place 4 times, but next year is going to be the next pilgrimage. Often we take boats. There are even some who have taken turtles. We go around until we come to the place of Yunluo.
I see. Do you think that if we were to attempt the journey, would we need a guide, or would we be able to find the path ourselves? Is it something we could perhaps attempt?
He looks like he ponders this for a second. You see his fingers stroke his luxurious reddish blonde beard. And finally looks back towards you. For you, you are looking capable, but this is, it is still a place of the monks on the other side of the mountains. They understand us, they tolerate us. I am not certain that they are so friendly with you. You may need to be more discreet if you go that way.
I see. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for answering these questions for us. I guess one last thing here. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, I forget. What is the horse face's name again?
Harkahome.
Ah, yes. Sorry. Is Harkahome? Does he accept visitors during the day? I would like to speak with him again, if that is okay.
Well, you can ask, and
If he does not wish to see you, then he will send you away.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for your help. It's been quite helpful.
Of course. May the sun rise many times upon you.
And he
As on you.
starts to do that same motion that he did at first, and then he, thinks better of it and gives kind of a stiff bow, and walks away towards some of his many other duties.
Before he walks away, Alistair tries to do that motion that he did before.
All right. He kind of notices that, and he says, "Oh, do you know of our customs?"
No, but it's not hard to figure out that that's meant to be sort of a greeting and a goodbye, right?
Yeah, and he sort of does it, seeming to do it a little bit more slowly for your benefit, kind of arms starting from the bottom, then raising slowly, kind of billowing out to the sides and then up to the top. And as they do, you see that the fingers kind of go together and then lightly touch yours on the fingertips before sweeping back down. And he says once more, "May the sun rise again upon you."
Okay. Well, that's a good chunk of information there. That's good.
Yes, indeed. The one thing that struck me as well, we were told before that it was a group of Westerners who had gone here recently. He mentioned seeing only one person.
Well, perhaps the others either didn't make it or didn't try to travel all the way there. Well, remember we didn't see any boats at the last hiding place. Perhaps the rest of his crew simply dropped this one guy off and left.
It's a shame we can't get any more information. I would obviously, with what Harkahome told us, knowing who was here quite soon ago would certainly help us.
Yes, well, I don't think we could get that information since they don't mention in the cave, which I suppose is quite a sensible place to avoid.
Indeed. It's definitely the sort of place you'd have to have very, very strong reason to consider going to.
So as you guys look around sort of in the center of the Goom village, you can see from the hut not far off from you, Harkahome's hut, there seems to be some smoke billowing out of the couple of half-shuttered windows on top of it. Seems that this probably seems to be in the midst of smoking his, or doing whatever it is ritually that he does with his bog root.
Well, what does everyone want to do? I guess.
So what have we kind of crossed off of the list so far?
Well, I
Here,
went
hold
down
on.
my list of questions.
All of them?
Yeah, there's only 5.
To
Yeah,
one
fuck-
person, yeah.
I asked how do we get to the tree. What do they know about the cave? What do they know about the boat? What do they know? Well, not ask about the creatures, but they don't go near the cave. Asked about the water, which I'm still confused about because you were rolling Constitution rolls and you were nauseous. It's even in your name. Don't know what that's about then.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, you asked about smugglers. That was my questions. I want to go ask Hakahome about the weird spirit things I've been feeling.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Let's do that. I mean, he might be hot. He might be high right now. But
I mean, he's not a human. Maybe it has a different effect on him.
It seems as though they're so used to it anyway that I don't think it has any effect regardless.
So, as you guys go over to Harkahome's hut, ascend these steps up to it, and you look dimly in to the doorway, you can see sort of this dim, smoke-filled hut. Can almost see the blackness sort of staining the tops of the skins that have been hung along the sides. Hakahome standing, just sitting stock still at the center, and his eyes open, and there's an odd kind of yellow to them, and it takes a second for him to focus on you, and as he does, the yellow kind of fades from the eyes. He says,
Ah, Alcana and friends, please give me one moment. I am burning the wind.
You see
All
him
right,
kind of
then.
hold up a hand, and this slight breeze seems to emanate from the center of the cabin, and then the smoke is just in a few seconds kind of blown away out of it. Then he puts down his hand again, looks up towards you.
Ah, I was hoping you would see me once more before you departed on your journey. Welcome, come inside, though leave the cage outside, if you please.
At this point, Alistair just takes it off and drops it down outside.
Hmm.
it's now
Alcana
your
just
person.
kind of looks at Alistair with kind of a tilted head and a quizzical. Or wait, no, never mind.
Yeah,
Never
Alcana,
mind, she didn't do that.
make another perception roll.
Oh boy! Random rolls! That's always fun!
Perception isn't something you need to worry about. When he asks you for a constitution save out of nowhere, that's the bad thing.
I thought he was gonna with all the smoke. Half of us are high while we're trying to get info.
No, he cleared it away. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He knows.
He's not a dick like those 67 cadre guys.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's even worse than last time!
Yeah, it's a little dark in here, but you enter to the same space. The mass on the wall, the burner, the small brazier, the kind of stone tablet, the charms on the ceiling. He gestures for you all to sit in front of him.
Wherever it fits.
Which
my
Alcana
sense.
does, of course.
Yes.
Yes. We all would do that.
He looks at you expectantly.
Like a Natrix.
Hang on, I'm thinking.
Have you nothing to say?
Sorry, my mind's gone blank for a second. Let me just give me a few seconds.
Yeah, I kind of feel that. Kitty,
You could
stop
be
playing with my headset cord.
So, Hakahome, you said that you were hoping to see us. Was there any particular reason for that?
I only felt that you needed more guidance before you set out on your way. And, well, I have not before had the opportunity to talk to another one who comes from a similar heritage to the rest of the people of this village. I suppose I had hoped that you may have had more success where I met only failure.
I believe that we did actually make a bit of progress with the broken orb that you gave us, although let's just say that, admittedly, I was It was more Peyton and Natrix that were more helpful in that regard than me.
Oh yes, of course we should play you this orb, but we managed to repair the orb. And I guess Notrix will say the word to make it play it again, and see what he thinks of it.
All right, so you hold out the orb, you say the command word, and he just sort of clasped his chin, looking deep in thought as he listens to this.
He says, Now this is interesting. It says to me that there is something in the mission that was kept hidden, something in the mission other than what they spoke of. I do not know what directive this General Storsana was given, but I do wonder what it could portend if it is something that not even her own men would be allowed to be privy to.
Do you recognize any of the names or the place names in here, like the Pentactrus and the Haberlith?
He looks deep in thought, and then he says,
I am sorry. I am uncertain. Even if I do know, it is likely that my own people would have very different names for whatever it is that these refer to.
Yeah, so that I suppose that does make sense. Well, I have a bit of a more pressing question to ask, actually. Ever since I came to this island, I've been feeling something. I've been feeling, well, a closer connection to what we call the spirit plane. I believe you had your own name for it. And, well, a few days ago, I have an ability. I don't know if this is something that your own people also knew about, but I have an ability to assume the guise of an animal for a time. And a couple of days ago, I used this ability, and I was unable to transform back into myself at will. Do you know? Well, do you know anything about this island that could be causing all this?
I know much of the spirit plane. And he repeats it using the druidic word for the spirit plane.
He says, It is a place where I have wandered, where I have watched many times, though not through these eyes. This place is closer than most. And that is because of the work of Yunlo and his disciples, that they passed through the green flame and into a form beyond their bodies. I do believe that this is what allowed him for so long to capture the essence of this place, to balance it, to maintain what all of you seek in a sort of stasis. But now, I believe there are forces working actively against that. Perhaps Yunlo is not as strong as he once was. As for why you would be unable to change back, well, all I can surmise is That is because perhaps your own connection to the spirit plane is yet unpracticed. Perhaps when it has a stronger pull on you, it is more difficult for you to pull away.
I see. Yes, that could indeed be the case. Tell me, I don't think this would be the case, but were your people followers or aware of the god Gothics? I know in the East gods are not as prominent, but in the West, Gothics is the deity that embodies the balance of nature for us.
It is a name that I have heard, of course, but our calling is to balance and to nature, and we require no deity to tell us how to do that.
I see. Thank you.
So, are all of you truly setting forth on this mission?
I believe that we have some preparations that we need to do first.
Yes, I think we are considering that it may be wise to attempt to commune with young Lao himself. Like, if it, as you said just now, if there is something that is weakening him, something that maybe we can stop, it would be good to find out, even if it is difficult to commune with him. It may be worthwhile to attempt to find out what these opposing forces are, and maybe if these forces are removed, young Lao can restore the balance that was once here.
We also need to buy some rope.
Buying rope. Now that is a great and portentous task.
Yes, it is our destiny to buy rope.
I made a joke. Was it funny?
I could somewhat tell that you were joking, yes.
I got it. It was good.
Oh, very good. Well,
Good job, buddy.
as for speaking with Yunluo, you have asked me about this before, and I have already given you my thoughts. Seek this if you think it is the correct path for you, but know that it may be a challenge even to listen to him. If you should head towards the caverns from this place, follow the Duhe River to its head. That will take you into the Draft Hollows. And the Draft Hollows are a place of twisting, winding boreholes, a place where it is very easy for one to become lost. And you must be prepared if you go that way to find your way. And once you get past that, to see through the ever-present darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's good to. Sorry.
I hope, Alistair, you've been learning quite a lot about navigation recently. I hope you're up to this task.
Alistair is, for the first time, visibly nervous.
I think there's sort of a general feeling about Okano where she's just definitely trying to put on a good face, but you can definitely tell that there's a lot more unease and uncertainty in it than before.
Is there anything else that you would ask of me? Anything you would wish that I would do to aid you?
I do actually have one thing. You heard the messages that were in those two orbs. You remember that one of them did mention the boreholes, right?
Yes.
So, I never really told you about the cage out there, but I received it and was asked by someone to collect some crystals in these caves while we were there. And they told me that they wanted me to keep the cage with me and to put the crystals in the cage. It sounds like that's kind of what they were doing too, the Ician who were here. Do you know anything about crystals or anything like that can be found in those caves?
This I do know of. But know that there are many things that could be called crystals. Know that even a grain of salt could be a crystal when writ large. That the quartz of stones could be crystals, or crystals could be great and portentous things of powerful arcane ability. I will tell you that not all crystals are the same, not even all crystals that are capable of being imbued with magic. For what crystals are below this place? They may bear the mark of the arcane on them, and if they do, I think it will be something far older than you might know from your own studies, older than you would from your studies of the gods. He gestures towards you, Alcana. Older than you would from your wizardcraft and your tower, gesturing towards you, Peyton. The only thing that, well, perhaps could have any edge on it, I suspect, could be the magic that you have. He gestures towards you, Notrix. But even then, it could be something more ancient.
Ah, well, that which is interesting. I know definitely that. Well, the spirit plane has a strong connection with crystals, but well, if there's anything older than that, I don't know of it myself.
Yes, the orb did mention that they had enchanters to think the word was refine the crystals that they found into some kind of ore, I'm guessing. That's what it sounded like. Not sure why Seradonis forces would be so interested in that, or why it is that their operation kind of failed, or they had to pull out of it for some reason.
It didn't specify that the crystals were what they were refining. Well, that is a valid idea.
I'm just trying to put together something. It's the cage. You said that you wanted me to keep it outside, and you couldn't quite say why. But he kind of.
I told you why. I told you it is other. And in here, I do not wish to have anything that is other.
the look on Alistair's face is of more confusion than if you told a dog to stop barking because barking is loud.
Oh, actually, I do. I've suddenly remembered something. I too have something else to show you that we have found in this island that you might be able to tell us more about. And Notrix brings out the fire talisman. This comes from the monks, but do you know anything about what this might be?
He kind of takes it, examines it.
This is something unusual, something unstable. Something that I do believe, could have the potential to pierce the barrier between the here and the places beyond, though that I am unsure how, or indeed why. It is outside of my realm of expertise.
Have you ever seen the monks carrying anything similar? They were fighting over it. It appeared that it was some sort of sacred object for them.
I remember when the monks were still soldiers. I have not made it part of my mission to keep close watch on them since. The monks mainly stay within their own realm, stay to their own sphere of affairs, and that has for the most part suited my own mission. I cannot tell you what they are doing with this.
Okay, that is fair. Thank you for telling me what you know. And Notrix takes it back and puts it back.
Also, I have one more question.
Yes, small one.
No one else was really able to tell us, but you know those slugs that everyone drinks?
Yes.
Is there something wrong with the water? Cause last time I drank it, I kind of got nauseous.
Though it is very rare, and it used to be nearly impossible, there are times when the water itself carries a foulness within it, carries a curse. These beaked slugs, they carry within them a natural adaptation, something that nullifies all impurities. The people have even used it the acid within the slug, to treat those creatures that have fallen to things that are outside. It is a best practice to draw from the slugs if one is in the wild, though Goom have their own ways of treating the water here.
I see. So don't drink the water. Got it. And a curse. Ugh. Great. He rubs his stomach a little bit.
Actually, Dawn, you know what?
Huh?
When you rub your stomach, I want you to go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw.
You walked right into that one.
No!
Groovy. You make a Constitution saving throw and you rub your stomach. Does something good happen? Does something bad happen? I'm not going to tell you.
Oh.
Random con saves are never a good sign.
I imagine he feels a little pain just because it's hilarious. Gets a little tummy ache again.
Alistair is like across the room now.
Eh. I'm doing nothing but creating water for the rest of this trip.
So, where is it that your journey will take you next?
Well,
Well,
I'm not sure if we're
Well, I
entirely
thi- I-
decided, but I think
well, I think I certainly was initially against it, but right now I'm going to have to agree with the consensus that trying to go to the tree might be our best move right now.
Yes.
What can I say? You guys convinced me.
yes, well, at least for the first part of our journey, the tree and, well, the cave are in the same direction. And, well, we are. It would be good to get closer to the cave and have a look out for anything that the others, that any, sorry, for anything that the smugglers have been doing, particularly, well, we heard one was going in that direction quite recently.
Oh.
You look back to Karkahoma and see that he seems to have taken this small piece of bark. You're not sure even where it came from. And he's got a small brush. He's drawing something on it. And he says,
If you do go to see Yunlo,
please take this for me. He hands it over to you, Elkanah, and you see written in actually written in a language that you don't understand, but what Dawn and Notrix understand says perseverance. And that's all it says on there.
Can you say that again? My Discord started cutting out.
I think you said
I'm sorry.
said it says perseverance in Druidic.
Yes, perseverance in Druidic on this piece of bark.
Ooh. And he's giving it to us?
Yes, he's asked you to take it to Yunlo if you go that way.
Absolutely. No problem. Yeah. Well, how big is the bark?
It's probably kind of big for Dawn, but it's, probably a little bit bigger than hand size for anyone else.
Okay, and yeah, he did say that they attach bark to the tree as a form of prayer, so we can go do that for him.
Maybe we should get our own bark to, make Junlo like us.
Would you
Right.
make some kind of... Yes, was sort of a means of having some kind of a prayer, if I recall correctly?
yes, we call it a gema. And it has been a long time since I have made the pilgrimage, even though this is not a pilgrimage year. I do wish you great luck in your journey.
Thank you. We will return if we are successful.
We'll let you know if Junlo gives us any gossip.
I don't think gossip is exactly the right word for it.
Who knows? A tree's overheard a lot of the conversations, I'm pretty sure. No one thinks
Apparently
up
the
there watching.
concept of the secret as context has no meaning to you.
A lot of things don't have any meaning to him.
Well, I'm gonna love the meaning of the gossip that comes out of this tree.
Alcana just kind of shakes her head a bit.
It seems like he kind of just goes back into sort of almost a serene state of inner reflection. It seems like this meeting comes to its natural end. So you guys file out once more back into the center of the village. Want to ask, what is your guys' plan? What are you doing?
Before we do that, Alistair kind of just stops walking a few feet behind them and, holding up the cage, looking at it. Guys, I think we have a problem.
What's that, Alistair?
Alistair kind of puts the cage down on the ground and kind of directs all their eyes towards it, and he wants to try to take a piece off of it again.
Okay. What do you want to use for this?
The thieves' tools worked okay last time, so I guess,
All right. Make that roll. You work on it,
Oh my god!
and you feel a slight bit of give. And then as you take your tools away, you can barely see the hint of a mark on the side and what looks like a couple of just fragments of dust right where that mark is.
God damn.
Huh? What's up? Did you discover something?
Alistair just looks up desperately at Peyton. Last night, you saw me cut right through it and nothing happened, right?
Well, yes, not sure about through it. I saw you cut it, and then when you moved your hand away, nothing had happened.
What if you tried to melt it?
Alright, look. He initially looks at Peyton, but then he's like, no, I'm not going to make him do anything again. Alcana,
Yes?
I've seen you use your flail in more of a magical sense against certain things before. Try to hit.
Yes? Give me a moment, then.
If you break that thing, I think your commission is gonna be a little angry.
I think there's some... Well, I think that rather than using her channel divinity like she has before, she is going to cast magic weapon instead.
Okay. So you cast that onto your flail and you watch as it obtains this very slight glow to it.
And then, so now it's a +1, so now, of course, she's going to go and, well, quite literally take a smack at the thing.
Put the
All
flail to
right.
the metal.
So you don't actually have to roll an attack on that because, it's just there right in the middle of the ground. It's not going anywhere. So as you wield back your flail and hit onto this cage, as it makes contact, you watch as the glow just disappears from your flail. The cage itself looks unmarked, but it seems like the magic weapon effect is gone.
It just straight up absorbed it.
So it's an anti-magic cage. Big surprise.
No, it's not anti-magic. Don't you see? She slammed that thing down so hard she should have broken it. It's not even scratched.
So it's real hard metal. Who cares?
Are you really surprised that the cursed magic cage is indestructible?
I suppose if we get to a clearing and, well, anywhere where there isn't so many flammable objects around, I suppose I could try something more extreme.
As you look around, you do notice that you've started to attract a few stares.
Let's move this elsewhere.
Yes, go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you kind of might have gotten a bit lost in thought there, that you kind of forgot about our surroundings.
Can I use a point of foresight to change one of my spells?
Sure.
Seconds. I want to change Moonbeam to what's called Heat Metal.
All right.
Hell yeah! Wonder what I'm gonna use that for once we're in a clearing with no people around. Let me get rid of my foresight. It's just one, right? Not two.
Yeah, just one.
Okie dokie.
So you guys kind of manage to find a spot sort of more on the outskirts of the village. As you get to the outskirts, you notice that there are a few like of these tree houses that seem to be more in disrepair, half collapsing, that seem like they've been abandoned. And you also see at one point what look like several, they almost look like if you've ever seen like a contractor's plumb line, like just these narrow strands that mark off these squares in the water. And as you look down, you can see these large root-like things growing just under the surface. And it takes a second, but you realize that these are actually the bog root. They seem to be cultivating a particular strand of it here. But right now you're kind of out. There are very few people over here, and it gets to the point where you're past where these causeways are.
Right.
Want me to go first? Because it sounds like your thing's gonna be a little more, kaboom.
Yes. You probably should.
All right, I'm gonna try my heat metal. Try to melt it.
Okay. So, yeah, it doesn't make a constitution save because, I mean, it's an inanimate object. Does that require touch? Oh no, it's 60 feet. All right. So, you kind of concentrate on it, try to focus on it heating up. And it feels as if your spell isn't taking.
Come on! Come on!
Yeah, you know that you're casting, but it seems like it's not doing anything.
Ah! I'm gonna try to kick it, and
All right.
even if it burns, and if it burns him, he's just gonna go ow, ow, ow.
All right. You flitter over to it. You kick it. It seems like the temperature has not changed at all. It seems like the cage itself is just stark ambient room temperature still. However, as you kick it over, you see that there is a charred spot on the brush underneath where it was.
What the heck?
Now.
All right, your turn.
Yes. Well, I have the ability to modify my spells to. I'm not sure how to say this in character to change the damage type.
Oh.
And I wonder what would be most efficient.
What kind can you use? Clearly fire, or heat at least, didn't seem to do anything.
No.
Yes, and neither did Matt, seemingly an infusion of a...
Arcana, wasn't there something about... some theory about the magic of the gods working against the North, or whatever?
Yes, I admittedly used the more diluted form of that in order to conduct the test.
Well, there is one kind of spell effect that has been difficult to categorize, so we've simply termed it radiant. I suppose.
Yes?
I suppose that might be worth a shot. Well, very well. we shall need to stand back quite a few feet.
Blow it away.
I suppose
Okay.
so.
Orson plays a little epic tune while he does it. And that's it.
Okay, so just in case it wasn't clear, I'm going to use spell secrets to change this to red. This is the card. And I'm going to spend, hang on. Let's see. 4 first level spell slots. That's going to be 8d10 force damage.
Holy shit!
And
Get it!
this is going to be on top of the normal fireball. That is, of course, modified to be radiant damage.
This is going to be like the holy hand grenade from Worms.
Okay, so
Like radiant.
first roll, fireball roll. And now the extra damage.
Aha!
Oh!
Oh, Jesus.
Holy God!
So
If that there's nothing to it, then I think we really have cause for concern.
I mean,
You hit a nuke!
And Ron, just for flavor, that extra damage is force damage. That's what it says on the page.
Oh!
29
Actually-
radiant damage, 49 pure magical damage.
This is ridiculous.
I love this.
Wait.
Hit it!
It's like,
all right. I want you to go ahead and describe what this insane radiant force fireball looks like.
Okay, so just with fireball, there's at first just a small spark of light, flying from Peyton's finger that lands at the cage, and there's just a couple of moments of silence until this gigantic yellow beam of light goes right up and then slams down again and explodes outward with in a very impressive way.
Yeah, it does that. And as this explosion reaches its zenith, all of you nearly blinded by this immense ball of light. You see it almost seeming to be sucked in, almost looking like dust in the bottom of a pot of water when like a plug gets pulled or something. And as it does, you see for a split second, this cage has changed color, almost looking more like some kind of stone or some kind of marble before it fades quickly back to black. Your ears are ringing, and as eventually your hearing starts to come back, you hear in the distance from the direction of the rest of the village screams, people shouting, and I see, what the hell was that? You hear, a couple of like splashes of people rushing through the water to see what this insane giant explosion was. Alcana, I want you to make either a history or a perception check. Alistair, you can also do that, but do it with disadvantage.
Oh no! This is so stupid.
Was anything damaged aside, like in the general area?
Oh yeah. As this happened, you saw the water pushed away. You saw a couple of trees, just to get disintegrated. I mean,
Wait,
there
small
were
trees or
definitely
big trees?
like decent sized trees. This is 40 feet across.
Wait,
The
what?
area
was
of
that
this.
really necessary, Peyton? Was it really necessary? Do that much? We might need those resources later, you know.
Who cares about the resources? What are you doing to these people's homes? These people's not homes.
Yeah, and you see
Peyton!
now they're starting to approach and shouting, and I see Nick. What the hell happened? What was that? What was that light? What's going on? Alistair, however, focusing on that cage that you saw for a split second, that marble, it looked oddly familiar to you. You've traveled a lot, you've been a lot of places, you've done a lot of missions, and you know that that looked a lot like the unique figure of a type of marble that's used sometimes in construction, a very expensive type of marble, but one that you know is only quarried on the island of Ashdale.
I imagine that this is something that Alistair will keep in mind for after we get chased out of the town by the rest of these people.
Yeah.
Peyton!
As you
For the love of, why? You did not have to do it to that degree or that extent. Why? Did you not even think about the fact that there are people literally right there?
Well, I thought we had gotten far enough away, and well, I've never used quite so many modifying runes before.
You see, the first of these people has now caught up and seems to have actually taken you by the shoulder, Peyton, and is yelling at you in a language that you cannot even begin to decipher. But he looks very, very angry about this, and more people are starting to show up.
Does Okana say this, or are they speaking too fast for her?
It's too fast to catch exactly what's being said, but you quickly get the gist that they're angry and do not understand what the hell just happened.
Did he?
Yes,
No.
Peyton, next time, please consider the fact that there is a language barrier here, and it would be difficult to explain exactly what we are doing here. I'm sure that you gleaned some information through that little experiment, but next time, please, this is one of the only places we've found that is friendly.
Orson and Don are just laughing in the background, like go far away.
You too! Cut it out! This isn't funny!
I didn't anticipate the reaction would be so severe. I thought we were far enough away, but you must admit it was rather impressive of me.
Yes, and I would rather we save that for actually hitting something. That thing that's dangerous rather than terrifying the townsfolk.
Yeah, where was that when we were fighting the Kappa, eh? Damn!
Well, if I used that while we were fighting the Kappa, I think I would have hit you.
True.
He has a point there.
Anyways.
Again, I wish you would have done that, but only to those two.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're still laughing in the back.
Yeah, more people are entering into this now, unnaturally cleared, 40-foot perfect circle of just absolute lack of any sort of vegetation at all. There's a lot of yelling. There's a lot of anger. Alkana, I'd like you to go ahead and make just a charisma check for me.
Oh no.
Oh god. I thought we were going to have an uneventful end of session, but no.
Peyton had to go ahead and be a wizard.
To be fair, he did more to it than you did.
Well, yes, but I think you did a little, but he went a bit too far in the opposite direction.
I disagree. I think the only reason that I was able to glean what I was because he went so far.
So, Alkana, as all these people crowd around shouting so much it's difficult to even hear each other talk over each other, you with your limited command of their language, over the next couple hours, try to reassure them, tell them that nothing is wrong, tell them that your friend was an idiot, it's a mistake, but no one's hurt. And it takes a while. You're just tired. You're sick of it by the end of it. And no one really seems happy. But after, a couple hours of trying to calm everyone down, it seems like they've at least accepted it.
And I'm going to assume that she just goes to Peyton at the end of the day with these kind of like stress lines under her eyes, and she just kind of has this definitely very "I'm judging you" look on her face.
Yes, but probably after all that has calmed down, Alistair kind of taps Alcana on the shoulder, pulls her aside for
Huh?
a second.
Huh? What's going on? Please make it fast. I'm afraid that my brain is melted from this long day of cleaning up after Peyton's mess.
Listen, Peyton's mess may have caused a huge ruckus and a huge problem with them, but may have gotten us some results after all. Even through
Huh?
the explosion,
How so?
Even through that explosion, and even through the blinding light and the sound that it made. I don't know if you noticed it, but
I'm afraid that I was too focused on that explosion to really see much else.
The cage turned into something.
What did it turn into?
I used to be, well, as you know, I worked in Ardoin for the king. A lot of times I would end up on certain assignments that were more guard duty than actual work. A lot of the time it would be when there was something added on to a major building, or where there was a new building being built that's important politically. And a lot of times they would use expensive materials. Those
Yes?
expensive materials I just saw that cage transform into. Very briefly, but I'm sure 100% that that's exactly what it was.
What was what?
The cage turned into some kind of almost marble-like substance that I've only seen from it's only from one place, very expensive. The only place that it's made, the only place that it's found is Ashdale.
You're kidding!
And with that, let's go ahead and end the session.